Warrior Lore. Chapter 91. Chit-chat. Chapter 91. Chit-chat. P4553R. Zhuofan and the young master were like best pals now, chit-chatting what all young men talked about those days. This worked to Zhuofan's advantage, finding all the particularities regarding Song Yu's past. Dong Tianba belonged to an average-sized town's leading clan, considered a second-rate clan in the empire, but far stronger than the Song clan not too long ago. Dong Tianba's father sent him on business to Nitrain City, where this young master hit it right off with the dastardly Song Yu. The moment Song Yu found that his friend was from a second-rate clan, he took it in stride, drinking and going to pleasure houses, not forgetting to act the haughty part that deigned his new position, and all of this alongside his friend. It went so far that Dong Tianba was even planning on giving his sisters, Dong Xiaowan, hand in marriage to Song Yu. Song Yu was close to going crazy from joy, as that was the greatest gift any from the Song clan would want. As all was said and done, he went straight to proposing. Unfortunately, Dong Xiaowan was the only daughter of the Dong clan, the apple of her grandfather's eye. So how could he let Dong Tianba decide her fate? As a result, when his grandfather found Song Yu's social standing, his dastardly moral talent, the grandfather catapulted him out of his home and even rebuked his grandson. As for Dong Xiaowan, she never forgave her dear elder brother for bringing up such a proposal. I am your sister, and you want to throw me to that pig? He is a greedy slacker. While the Dong clan saw Song Yu for what he was, a sorry excuse of a man, Dong Tianba found him as his dearest of friends, going out with every chance he got. What greedy slacker? He is true to himself, unlike those hypocritical gentlemen. Dong Tianba recalled that encounter with a smile, feeling he let down his dear friend in Nitrain City. It was also thanks to him for having notified the Song clan of the 100-pill meeting that they sent Song Yu to the gathering. He hoped Song Yu would use this chance to climb the ranks and dismiss the Dong clan's despising glances. With a bit of luck, the Song clan would be under Drifting Flowers Edifice's care, and the Dong clan would have nothing to say if he asked for Dong Xiaowan's hand again. Zhuofan gave a bitter smile at the side. This is one odd elder brother. The rotten Song Yu just invited him to a drink a couple of times, and he is ready to throw his sister in the former's lap. If I were the Dong grandfather, I would have tanned his rear to a paste. Furthermore, how come you push your sister on others you like, while you yourself are unmarried? Zhuofan shook his head, worried over the happiness of the Dong clan and Dong Tianba's sister. Even the four elders behind them were red-faced with humiliation from having such a weirdo for a young master. They even looked around at times to make sure no one heard him. Zhuofan sighed. Birds of a feather flock together. Bro Song. Dong Tianba beckoned him with a strange smile. Where's your sister? Zhuofan replied. She left after bringing me here. I made sure to personally see her off. He had an ineffable smile when he said, personally. But it went over Dong Tianba's head, who was downcast, and I really wanted to gaze upon Miss Song one more time. I would have long sent the dowry if not for my old man refusing to have anything to do with your clan. Ha ha ha. The world houses countless beauties. Bro Dong needn't hang on just one. Zhuofan smiled. My sister doesn't deserve you. Look around. There are countless girls in Drifting Flowers City to feast your eyes on. Sigh, Bro Song. You wouldn't understand. You can't touch any of the girls here. Dong Tianba made sure no one was around before whispering. Don't you know that the Drifting Flowers Edifice is unique among the 7 houses for only having women? For 1,000 years, they had men marry into their house. This is a place where women reign. Does that mean you can't even chase girls? Dong Tianba had a deep look this time. Bro, how come I feel like I know you less and less? Don't you know chasing and harassing have different meanings? Zhuofan laughed in dismay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Bro Dong is a genius. Haha, we both are. Didn't we used to swap pointers? How could you forget? Must be from the blow my sister's refusal gave you that you succumbed to your vices. Zhuofan nodded repeatedly. Dong Tianba was an oddball, but quite true to others. Talking with him all this time made Zhuofan feel at ease. By the way, Brother Dong, what other rules are there? Like this tavern. Almost forgot. Dong Tianba spoke in a heavy tone. Because of the massive influx of people throughout the 100-pill meeting, the Drifting Flowers Edifice has laid some rules regarding lodging. The third-rate clans are to stay in the poor district, The second-rate clans in the taverns and the first-rate clans are welcomed by the 15 floorkeepers. The 7 noble houses. There are people from the 7 noble houses here? Zhuofan raised a question. Dong Tianba nodded. That is only natural. The 7 houses might be plotting and scheming among each other, but Drifting Flowers Edifice is neutral. It is expected for 2-3 houses to be here, welcomed personally by the edifice lord. At the very least, Hell Valley is certain to be here. Zhuofan gasped. That explained the Hell Valley's disciples at the gate. They weren't purposely placed in every city for searching him in particular, but because they followed someone important from their house to participate in the 100-pill meeting. The one who must be representing Hell Valley had to be an elder, or maybe their valley lord. Who came from Hell Valley? Zhuofan asked, frantically wrinkling his brows. Dong Tianba shook his head. But then a man burst through the door huffing, "Young master, the young miss is in trouble." Dong Tianba jumped to his feet and rushed with the 4 elders. Zhuofan was right behind them. They arrived at a market. There were many people standing at the sideline in silence. A fine and charming lady stood in front of a stall, holding a delicate piece of jewelry. Her phoenix eyes darted towards the crying woman on the ground. Dong Xiaowan's cheeks were swollen as tears streamed her stinging face. Anyone there would realize she was slapped, and not just once or twice. Dong Tianba hurried to help his sister as he roared, "Xiaowan, what happened? Who did this?" "Brother, let's just go." Dong Xiaowan held in her sobs while taking a side glance at the stuck-up lady in red, who said, "You can leave?" The lady said with malice. Her sharp eyes stabbed like swords and made Dong Xiaowan shiver. "I told you to slap yourself 100 times. Aren't you skipping some from 30? No matter who you think you are, I can make your whole clan burn if I want to." Crestfallen and shivering, Dong Xiaowan started slapping herself, and her already swollen face began growing redder and bulgier along with the tears of humiliation. Dong Tianba grabbed her hands and snapped, "Xiaowan, stop. Why are you doing this?" "Brother, it's all my fault," Dong Xiaowan cried. "I wanted to buy that item, but she—" Dong Tianba heard it clearly even if her voice trailed off. He turned his flaming eyes of rage to the lady in red. "I get that you wanted to take the jewelry from my sister's hand, but why do you have to be so heavy-handed?" "Ha ha ha, I asked her politely, but she kept being rude to me and didn't know what's good for her." The lady mocked and threw the jewelry to the ground in spite. Now I lost all interest in it. So how can I not teach her manners for this? The lady's naked contempt made Dong Tianba spit words through gritted teeth. "Bitch, I will make you regret this, or my name isn't Dong Tianba." He then went charging over. With how the lady was but in the 9th layer of chi condensation, his power was more than enough to deal with her. Unfortunately, a gale stopped him as a white figure flashed in front of him. Bam! The noise echoed around as Dong Tianba was sent flying into the air, and in his previous place landed a handsome youth in white, fanning himself. 7th layer of bone tempering stage. Such a disciple was considered the cream of the crop among the 7 houses. Zhuofan's eyelid trembled, and his feet moved. Dong Tianba and his 4 elders were nowhere near enough to deal with the newcomer. If he was impassive, this pair of siblings would experience a world of hurt today, but if he did act, he would earn a world of trouble, affecting his plans. But this bitch was too ruthless. She was asking for a beating. Not even he, a demonic emperor, could take this lying down. When all was said and done, some things couldn't be held in. This was his demonic path. Chapter 92, Only a Game. Chapter 92, Only a Game. P4553R. "Dandan, what happened?" The white youth turned a blind eye to Dong Tianba and focused on the red lady. She, on the other hand, had only naked disdain for the Dong clan. "Nothing of importance, just some blind dogs yapping at my feet." "Oh, they must be truly ignorant to offend Peony Edifice's Grand Miss Xiao." Ha ha ha, the youth mocked. His words caused widespread shock, especially to Dong Tianba. What? The Peony Edifice? Belonging to the Drifting Flowers Edifice? Dong Tianba looked towards his terrified sister in a daze. That was why his sister was so set on bearing this humiliation. No one from the 7 noble houses could be offended, or one's entire clan would go extinct. Wanner. How Dong Tianba sighed at his tear-stained sister, feeling how wronged she was. Xiao Dandan couldn't care less for their plight and glared at Dong Tianba. Weren't you about to hit me? Well, what's stopping you? Dong Tianba's body shivered and started to regret his transgression. I was at fault for not noticing your grandeur and offending Miss in my rash action. Please pardon me. Pardon? How are you guilty? Xiao Dandan sneered. You just said that I coveted your sister's item and then humiliated her. Sticking out for her is only normal. But do you have the strength to back it up? Gnashing his teeth, Dong Tianba cupped his hands. Miss lesson is that I am powerless and still dared to strike. He then slapped himself 6 times and his face swelled. The people around shook their heads. Stumbling upon any from the 7 houses was bound to bring humiliation to your entire clan. Humph, such filth, not in the least bit entertaining. Xiao Dandan grinned. Why are men such cowards, lacking the basic mettle to stand tall? Then, she came up with a great idea that brought a smile to her lips. Brother Tianyu, why not have some fun with him? Dandan, what are you suggesting? The youth in white smiled with a sweet smile. Xiao Dandan replied, this kid must be quite fond of his sister. You're quite able in martial arts and such an understanding character, so this should be convenient for you. If you can shred that girl's clothes under the protection of those 5 bone tempering experts, she's yours to indulge in. The Drifting Flowers Edifice will even turn a blind eye. What? Dong Xiaowan shivered and Dong Tianba's eyes were bloodshot. This was no longer picking on others, but disgracing. Even if they were from the 7 houses, this was something the common people wouldn't stand for. Yet the youth in white waved her proposal off. Dandan, you've gravely misunderstood me. I come from Merry Woods, but that doesn't imply that I'm lecherous. You're making it hard for me to accomplish your request. Ha ha ha. Your expression doesn't seem to be saying so. Fine, I don't mind it at all. So what are you worried about? I'll be yours next July anyway. You'll still get to join the Drifting Flowers Edifice regardless. The youth in white rose an eyebrow, then turned an appreciative eye over Dong Xiaowan. He. Since Dandan requests it, I must comply. But keep in mind, this is only a game, so don't go settle the score later. Despicable. Xiao Dandan rose the corner of her mouth. The youth in white walked towards Dong Xiaowan, who shivered at each of his steps. Ha ha ha. I am Lin Tianyu of Merry Woods, a future son-in-law of Drifting Flowers Edifice. As you heard, I'm not lecherous and an insufferable bully. It is you who offended my future wife and have to be punished for your transgression. Young Master Lin, Dong Tianba said in pain, I am well aware of misgame and I would like to know if, by some fluke, we can stop your advance. Lin Tianyu just let out a mocking laughter and Xiao Dandan replied instead, if you can, then this matter will end here and we shall never have anything to do with each other. Then please forgive this offense. Dong Tianba roared and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Having heard what he wanted, yet Lin Tianyu's contempt only grew. Good eyes. But, whoosh. A figure flitted by and Lin Tianyu was already behind Dong Xiaowan. His hand even held the delicate clothes of the latter. Too bad you're so weak. Dong Xiaowan cried as she covered her shoulder in tears. She was wearing 5 articles of clothing, and one was gone just like that, revealing the white and delicate skin beneath. Dong Tianba turned in shock. Lin Tianyu's speed was incredible, but Zhuo Fan only smirked. This kid is in the 7th layer of bone tempering stage, but his power is only in the 6th layer. His focus must be on speed. This was a typical case of putting the cart before the horse. No matter how fast you were, if you couldn't harm your opponent, it was useless. And he was already weaker than others by 1 layer. The more he'd advanced, the more the gap would widen. To Zhuo Fan, such a cultivator was no different from a cripple. No wonder the Merry Woods sent him to marry into Drifting Flowers Edifice. However, this was privy to an expert's eyes alone. Dong Tianba was nowhere near that level, as he was even standing around scared from the display of speed. Elders, surround my sister. Dong Tianba shouted at the 4 elderly. They immediately formed a circle with Dong Xiaowan in their center, their eyes fixed on Lin Tianyu with a vicious smile. Lin Tianyu said, it's no use. The 5 of you won't even see my shadow. A series of booms were heard and Dong Xiaowan cried out once again. Her 2nd article was removed. Even under heavy guard, Dong Tianba couldn't accept this outcome. They were both in bone tempering stage, yet there was such a gap between them. What a soothing perfume. Lin Tianyu sniffed hard at the clothing in his hand and was intoxicated by the fragrance. If the second clothing is so refreshing, I'm eager to know how Miss Underwear is like. Dong Xiaowan let out a shiver and cried in fear, "Brother, I will definitely protect you." Dong Tianba mustered his courage with a roar and set his eyes on Lin Tianyu's every move. Although he wished to marry her off to the useless Songyu, it was because he knew the later wasn't evil. However, anyone who dared to harm his sister would earn his wrath. Are you done? Hurry it up. Seeing Lin Tianyu showing his true colors, Xiao Dandan spat with revulsion. Lin Tianyu nodded while tucking the clothing in his chest and vanished the next moment. His hand was holding another piece of clothing, and with it, Dong Xiaowan was shamed even further. Plop. Dong Tianba fell to his knees, powerless and helpless. He is so fast that I can't even see him. Wanner, forgive me. Your brother is unable to protect you. Dong Tianba sobbed. Dong Xiaowan watched him in sorrow and closed her eyes. Resigned to her fate, the four elders were also aggrieved. In this game of cat and mouse, they were left without any dignity. It would have been better to die than suffer like this then. Sudden footsteps were heard and a figure overshadowed Dong Tianba. He looked up, only to find Zhuo Fan looking at him. Bro Dong, how about you leave the last try to me? Who are you? Xiao Dandan cut Dong Tianba off before he could speak, scratching his nose. Zhuo Fan pointed at Dong Xiaowan. Ha ha ha, I'm her husband. What? Seeing the widespread shock, Zhuo Fan rushed to explain. No, she is my wife. What's the difference? The crowd exclaimed, scratching his head. Zhuo Fan mused a bit and explained, well, I did go to her clan to propose but was refused. Does that make me an ex-husband? What ex? You were clearly kicked out. Everyone looked at him in contempt. Xiao Dandan even mocked. Fine then. Another bone-tempering moron won't change a thing. Plus, seeing your dearly beloved ravaged before your eyes is even more appealing. Ha ha ha, I don't mind as long as Dandan doesn't. One more would hardly matter. Lin Tianyu boasted, standing back up. Dong Tianba looked at Zhuo Fan gravely. Bro, you don't need to involve yourself in this. Ha ha, bro Dong, we aren't strangers, but close pals. Of course, I'll help you. This earned a nod of approval from the people. I knew you are a good man who knows loyalty. Dong Tianba was moved to tears. Zhuo Fan then gazed at Dong Xiaowan with a smile of reassurance. Don't worry, he won't touch you ever again. She thought Zhuo Fan was using this chance to take advantage of her, but his clear eyes evoked unknown feelings in her heart. Zhuo Fan now turned to Lin Tianyu and stuck out his hand. Come. Lin Tianyu's smile of mockery froze on his face and was soon replaced by rage. He felt Zhuo Fan was looking down on him. Chapter 93, Speed. Chapter 93, Speed. P4553R. Damn punk, what a load of gall you have. Once I'm through with her, I'll deal with you. Lin Tianyu stared down Zhuo Fan with killing intent. As a man from the 7 noble houses, everywhere he went all he saw was respect and envy, so a person like Zhuo Fan, who had only contempt, had to be put down. This was an unwritten law of the Tianyu Empire. Dong Tianba sensed his killing intent and sighed at Zhuo Fan's fate. Ha ha ha, bro Dong shouldn't waste time with a clown. Aware of the change in the atmosphere, Zhuo Fan still sported a casual smile. It was spoken low enough to seem nonchalant, but loud enough to let everyone in on his words. Everyone knew who he was hinting at, but none saw it coming from a first layer of bone-tempering cultivator. Only a fool would mock the 7 noble houses. The people started to pity Zhuo Fan's imminent and gruesome death. Ha ha ha, brother Tianyu. A fool just ridiculed you. Xiao Dandan felt the atmosphere was lacking, so she added oil to the fire. Lin Tianyu was now filled with hatred for Zhuo Fan. Humph, a retard's words won't affect me. I'll just swipe him away once I'm done with the girl. He then stepped forward. A fierce wind blew and vanished, but his laughter never stopped banging on the others' ears. Ha ha ha. Only the last article remains, and then I will get to truly appreciate this lady. Dong Xiaowan was curled up in fear. Her hands tightened on her last shred of dignity. Dong Tianba and the 4 elders made a tight circle around her. However, Zhuo Fan stood there impassive, as if it had nothing to do with him. Suddenly, Lin Tianyu appeared before Dong Xiaowan and reached for her last article with a grin. I won. Think again. A snort reached his ears. He didn't even get the chance to react when a fist smashed into his pretty face. He went tumbling through the air and smacked the pavement before he could get his bearing. When he got up from the ground, his cheek was already swollen. What just happened? The two were so fast that the onlookers didn't see a shadow. They only heard two loud sounds, and then came Lin Tianyu kissing the ground. Zhuo Fan also appeared, his hand outstretched above Dong Xiaowan. You got him? Dong Tianba was stunned. When not even himself and his 4 elders could save his sister, this kid managed to save the day? Putting aside the fact that his first layer bone tempering cultivation held more power than a 7th layer, his speed alone was inconceivable. In a casual manner, Zhuo Fan rubbed his presumably sore fist. Something just came towards my fist. Owie, it stings. His words startled everyone, and Dong Tianba even began to laugh. Ha ha, great. Bro, how did you do it? I couldn't even see him. Do you even need to see? Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow and sported a vague smile. Isn't his target obvious? If you build a wall next to her, he's bound to bump into it. It was so obvious now that everyone could think of it. They were so focused on Lin Tianyu's speed mastery that they were led by the nose. But even with his impressive speed, his target was Dong Xiaowan. All they had to do was keep their eyes on her. This simple reasoning almost made them tear up. Amazing. An elder praised Zhuo Fan. Young Master Song is really a genius worthy of our young master's admiration. Haha, see little sister? Don't I always say Bro Song is a man of ethics and talent? If it wasn't for him, you'd never have escaped this predicament. Dong Tianba laughed as he lifted the weight off his heart. Dong Xiaowan blushed as she conveyed her thanks and appreciation to Zhuo Fan through her eyes, waving it off. Zhuo Fan made eye contact with Dong Tianba. Bro Dong, can you stop? It's not up to you how it ends. Picking up on his gesture, Dong Tianba walked before Xiao Dandan with a smile. Miss, we were lucky to have stopped this youth. I'm sure a disciple from Drifting Flowers Edifice wouldn't cross her word, so let us end it here. I will be taking my sister now. With a deep bow, Dong Tianba was about to leave. Wait. Xiao Dandan eyed the crowd and gave a lopsided grin. I will forego this matter, of course, but too bad Brother Tianyu isn't too fond of that idea. Humph. In all my life, I've never been punched so hard. Lin Tianyu stared with killing intent. I am not one to pick on people, but this game has yet to entertain me enough. I would have to ask you all to keep me company throughout the end. What? While the others were lamenting inside, Dong Tianba shouted in anger. And when will the game conclude? It'll be over when I say so. Lin Tianyu sneered. This came as a terrible shock to the Dong clan. Wasn't it the same as saying it wouldn't end until they'd have no dignity left? You're too freaking petty to even take a loss. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose and tightened his fist. Seems I can return this with courtesy. He didn't want to blow this matter out of proportions any further. But this rotten couple didn't know when to stop. Ha ha ha, this barbaric game is fun. Let me join too. Zhuo Fan laughed. He attracted the eyes of everyone. And also Dong Tianba's confused look. Zhuo Fan, however, didn't care about them. I used to play such a game with Bro Dong not too long ago. I ripped his woman's clothes while he ripped my woman's. The first to finish got the woman. Right, Bro Dong? Zhuo Fan hinted. Dong Tianba quickly woke out of his stupor and nodded, but it seems this game isn't completely fair. You get to tear my woman's clothes, while I have no target. Lin Tianyu mocked. You think you are all-powerful just because you landed a lucky punch? Ha ha, wishful thinking. Zhuo Fan spoke flatly. Young Master Lin, are you scared? Or perhaps whipped? Chuckles resounded all around, Xiao Dandan's included. Despite being fearful of the 7 houses, everyone cursed them behind their backs. Lin Tianyu was livid, but still deferred to Xiao Dandan by looking her way frowning. Xiao Dandan spoke plainly to Zhuo Fan. It seems besides Zhuo Fan, there are more and more people cropping up who slight the 7 houses. But, do you have what it takes? If you can take even one article of clothing from me, I will kick Brother Tianyu out and marry you instead. Xiao Dandan's challenge first came as a shock, then forced laughter spread as everyone came to realize the gap between the two. The 7 houses reviled those beneath them. How could they even entertain the thought of accepting a nobody into their house, as a groom no less? With an evil smile, Zhuo Fan blinked. Miss Dandan, be careful of what you say, lest you'd end up crying. You're the one who's going to wail. Xiao Dandan stuck out her chin. All right, enough talk. Get ready. I am about to start. Lin Tianyu roared over their conversation. Dong Tianba was getting into position, but Zhuo Fan waved him off. Ha ha ha. Since I talked about fairness, only I will be defending Dong Xiaowan, lest he'd use it as an excuse to be even more shameless. Bro. Dong Tianba cried, but nodded in the end. I'll leave my sister in your care. He then took his elders to the side. Miss Dong, do you trust me? Zhuo Fan stared at Dong Xiaowan. She jumped, but nodded in the end. Realizing the repulsive lecher from before was replaced by a reliable young man, Zhuo Fan grinned. Great. Enjoy the show? But just then, a cackle came into their ears. Ha ha ha. The last article is mine. Dong Xiaowan curled up in fear, but Zhuo Fan was as calm as ever. He even had a mocking smile on his face. Bam! A crack resounded and Lin Tianyu didn't even get to touch Dong Xiaowan as he was sent tumbling in the air before hitting the pavement again. He was filled with shock. You could see me? As he turned around, Zhuo Fan's eyes were cold. Whoosh. With a crack of thunder, Zhuo Fan appeared behind Xiao Dandan. His hand flashed and her dress was torn apart. You call that speed? Zhuo Fan's mockery shocked the crowd. This kid is an expert. Chapter 94. What goes around comes around. Chapter 94. What goes around comes around. How could this be? Xiao Dandan watched the drifting cloth in shock. How could she not know her future husband's strongest point? Mary Woods was known as the Wind House, known for having the fastest speed in the Empire. Not to mention, Lin Tianyu chose to abandon power for even more speed. He reached such a mastery that even a peak bone-tempering expert would be left in the dust. However, a low-level bone-tempering brat did the unthinkable and managed to surpass him. Not only was Xiao Dandan incredulous, but so was Lin Tianyu. His face was frozen in shock as no words could leave his mouth. As for Dong Tianba's group, they were slack-jawed, particularly young Master Dong, who knew Songyu for ages. Never once had he displayed such outstanding features. Yet, here he was, a third-rate clans member winning against a Seven Houses disciple. Everyone became silent, with all eyes focused on the proud Zhuo Fan. Their words stuck in their throat. Grinning evilly, Zhuo Fan sniffed and said with satisfaction oozing from his voice, Miss Dandan, you truly are an amazing beauty, evident from this fragrance. I will never forget this soothing smell for as long as I live. Xiao Dandan stared at him with a red face. Lin Tianyu was turning green, his heart bleeding from hatred. Bastard! You dare harass my wife in my presence? Do you take Mary Woods for nothing? Taking a side glance at Lin Tianyu, Zhuo Fan grinned inside and flashed before Xiao Dandan. She then cried in panic when Zhuo Fan hugged her. She tried to resist but was a moot effort against Zhuo Fan's cultivation. Damn brat. What do you think you're doing? Lin Tianyu roared. Zhuo Fan watched the red-faced Xiao Dandan and raised an eyebrow in challenge. Miss Dandan, I'm not as flimsy as that weak lord. I've always learned to take the initiative with a woman. My actions were a bit rude to you, miss. So, you can hit me or curse me, but I'll still do the same. Xiao Dandan was glaring at him, yet her heart stirred. Zhuo Fan's pushy attitude was worlds apart from Lin Tianyu's flattery. This feeling was so new to her that she didn't know where to place it. Rotten brat. Let go, or you'll be sorry. Zhuo Fan was courting his woman before his eyes, and even before the public. Something that Lin Tianyu could not bear any longer, but Zhuo Fan was far from done. He pulled her closer instead, eliciting a charming cry from Xiao Dandan. It made any male on the scene feel their pulse quickened, swallowing dryly, and sporting wide and nasty grins. Meanwhile, the women around blushed. Lin Tianyu's face was ashen, wishing to tear Zhuo Fan limb by limb. Snorting, Zhuo Fan raised a taunting eyebrow. Brother Lin, isn't this a game of your own accords? Since time immemorial, the winner receives everything while the loser ends up with nothing. If Brother Lin wins, you'll have 2 women. If not, well, Zhuo Fan patronized, then turned to blow his hot breath in Xiao Dandan's ear. Miss Dandan, if I win, please be so kind as to kick this man out and make me your guest. His tone was soft, yet his words traveled far, particularly stabbing into Lin Tianyu's ears. However, this wasn't what struck his core. It was Xiao Dandan's blushing and faint nod. Zhuo Fan had given another wave of shock to the crowd, and many were now eyeing him with envy. Damn rotten bastard. He snatched a Drifting Flowers Edifice's girl right out of that flimsy Mary Wood's disciple in minutes. His skill is worthy of being a pioneer in the sacred art of chasing skirts. If I had such skill, I would also take a Drifting Flowers Edifice girl for myself. Lin Tianyu trembled. His lips leaked a trail of blood. Bastard. You've taken this too far. Ha ha, what of it? What goes around comes around. Next time, if you're lucky enough to win, then speak. Zhuo Fan's wicked grin wasn't in the least bit heroic or worthy of his conquest, but it made everyone's heart shiver. While the women were swooning, Lin Tianyu had a belly full of hatred. Zhuo Fan's incessant mockery was trumped by stealing his woman. This exceeded his bottom line long ago. Son of a bitch. Once I peel your girl's clothes, I'll finish you off. Lin Tianyu appeared before Dong Xiaowan. She cried in fear, but Lin Tianyu's evil clutches didn't arrive. A slap cuffed him over the ear into the ground. When he looked up, Zhuo Fan was back next to Xiao Dandan, continuing to mock. Miss Dandan, that limp noodle lost again. I'm afraid I will have to relieve you of another article. A rip was heard and an article left. Xiao Dandan's body more exposed. Zhuo Fan lifted her chin. Miss Dandan, please, don't blame my uncouth act. Her charming eyes rolled and her face turned rosy, playing coy. Can't you be more gentle? Ha ha ha, I am uncouth and unmannered. This is something that won't change for as long as I live. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Lin Tianyu's eyes were bloodshot and looked as though he was about to spit fire. Rotted bastards, both of you. Lin Tianyu went for Dong Xiaowan again with the same result. Zhuo Fan made sure to even slap him 5 times for good measure, and it resulted in Xiao Dandan's turn to loosen her clothing. Yet the lady hardly cared, making Lin Tianyu's coals of anger burn hotter with but one flimsy and thin piece left on Miss Xiao Dandan. Zhuo Fan's grin turned maniacal. Brother Lin, final chance. If you fail now, Miss Dandan is mine. Wretched filth. You dare mock the 7 houses? Lin Tianyu spat, the ire in his heart having grown out of his control. Yet oddly enough, he was clear-headed enough to understand Zhuo Fan's speed overwhelmed him, so he chose another angle, using Mary Wood's name. But why would Zhuo Fan care when he even had the nerve to kill Hell Valley's elders? As a result, Lin Tianyu's words only worked to goad Zhuo Fan further, who, under Lin Tianyu's rage-filled eyes, landed a kiss on Xiao Dandan's cheek. Ha ha ha, I'm about to be Drifting Flowers Edifice's son-in-law. Why the hell would I be afraid of your goddamned Mary Woods? Isn't that right, my lady? Xiao Dandan was so far gone, accepting anything he was throwing at her, that she nodded without remorse. It would seem Lin Tianyu had had enough, and charged at the couple. He even went as far as cursing at his revered Xiao Dandan. Bitch, you are both a bunch of dogs. I will send you both to hell. He made a hand sign, and a green gale gathered around his legs. The sharp whistling spoke of its deadly power as he kicked at them. He had foregone using his prized speed in favor of stealing victory by force, mid-spirit ranked martial art. Razor kick? Xiao Dandan cried in shock. Lin Tianyu, the gall of you, to try to kill me right in Drifting Flowers Edifice's city. Humph, for a skank like you, I will do the world a favor by killing you both. Xiao Dandan was now afraid after noticing the killing intent in his eyes. She was only in chi condensation stage, while Zhuo Fan was in his first layer of bone tempering stage. It was not possible for him to take on such an attack, however. Zhuo Fan just mocked. Brother Lin, is this your final struggle? Oh, how pathetic. Zhuo Fan's arm snaked around Xiao Dandan's waist while his other acted as a shield bam. The green gale lashed at Zhuo Fan's arm, but the sounds coming out of it was that of screeching metal. The kick didn't even scratch his arm, though his sleeve did turn to shreds, revealing an all-glorious and perfectly chiseled arm. This can't be. Lin Tianyu seemingly crazy as he muttered, You're a body cultivator? How can you be so fast? With a mocking smile, Zhuo Fan simply replied, Who told you that we can't also train in speed? Trading off power for such measly speed will only be done by a dumbass like you. Zhuo Fan's eyes evoked killing intent that turned Lin Tianyu into a shivering mess. He didn't get to react as Zhuo Fan kicked him on the head. Blood spurted and Lin Tianyu felt a sharp pain digging its way into him. He let out one final wail before his eyes lost their light and slumped on the ground. None of the people could believe their eyes. A simple kick finished a 7 noble houses disciple, who had a 6-layer advantage over his opponent. The fight ended not in praise of power or speed, but rather mockery towards Mary Woods. Miss Dandon, did you see that? I don't discriminate. I am as uncouth and rude to men as well. If your fiancé lives, he still won't see reason. I hope you do not blame me for this. Zhuo Fan acted like his crime never happened and resumed flirting with the lady. Xiao Dandan watched him enamored and blinked in joy. You've done perfectly. With you around, why would I need that trash for? Don't you worry, you'll soon join Drifting Flowers Edifice and Mary Woods won't be able to lay a finger on you. Ha ha ha, thank you Miss Dandon for your care. Just that, Zhuo Fan eyed Xiao Dandan's last vestige of dignity. According to the rules, for your fiancé to lose, I'd have to pry out the last article. With a coy and blushing face, Xiao Dandan wrapped her soft lily-white hands around his neck. Brother, I am soon to be yours. If you want my body, you'll have to wait till tonight. Or do you want the people to see everything? Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose after looking at her delectable body. Then, Zhuo Fan's eyes turned sharp and startled the flirting woman. Humph, weren't you listening? What goes around comes around. This goes for you too. Zhuo Fan reached for her last piece, and Xiao Dandan was filled with fear. Would she have any face left to walk into Drifting Flowers Edifice if she went naked in the middle of the city? Suddenly, a loud shout came. Stop! And 2 blue silk ribbons drifted over Zhuo Fan's hand. Froze in shock. A profound heaven expert. Chapter 95. Bewitching Whispers. Chapter 95. Bewitching Whispers. P4553R. 2 blue silk ribbons shot towards Zhuo Fan. He thought of dodging, but he dismissed that idea despite not unfolding his wings. His speed was beyond the bone-tempering stage, thus allowing him to one-up Lin Tianyu. This was a shock to everyone, but not unlikely to happen in the case where his speed was to match a profound heaven expert's that would label him a monster. Across the vast world, he might be the sole person with such a deviant degree of body refining it was tantamount to telling everyone who he was. I'll have to gamble. One ribbon tightened around him and made any movement impossible. There, he reminded himself, I just need to showcase how strong I am, but within limits. Unlike that known deviant, Zhuo Fan, who could kill a profound heaven expert. The other wrapped Xiao Dandan in a protective embrace. What followed next was the arrival of the owner of the ribbons. The people lowered their heads in respect, as did Dong Tianba, and his sister Zhuo Fan only gave her a rough glance. She was a lady in her 30s, wearing a thin veil over half her face, yet incapable of hiding her grace, and with how high her cultivation was, it garnered even more respect. While she walked with light steps, her eyes were solely focused on Xiao Dandan. She extended a dainty finger and tapped Xiao Dandan's forehead. Yuan. She entered Xiao Dandan's body and made her shiver, while also taking away the redness in her cheeks. What? Where am I? Xiao Dandan looked around in confusion, but when she saw Zhuo Fan it all came back in a flurry of images. She cried in shock and her face went beet red. How could I have done that? Silly child. You can't even tell when you were tricked? The woman in blue shook her head, then her eyes snapped to Zhuo Fan. Little brother, if you are intent on chasing after Drifting Flowers Edifice's girl, you can chase them using your skills. But don't you think using bewitching whispers is demeaning and vile? Zhuo Fan praised her in his heart. She's quite perceptive. Bewitching whispers affected a person's mind so that the user could lead his victims to do whatever he wanted. This was how Zhuo Fan got hold of Xiao Dandan so easily. This little trick wasn't a demonic cultivator's secret skill, but not anyone could employ it. First of all, the user's soul had to be strong, which made most of the demonic cultivators beneath profound heaven stage unable to use it, and because this skill had limited power, most demonic cultivators did not train to use it. Ergo, the number of people aware of bewitching whispers were few and far in between. Yet, here was one woman who knew its effect. Zhuo Fan grinned. Lady, I have no intention of chasing Miss Dandan. This is only for the sake of teaching her a lesson. Senior Aunt, don't listen to this runt. He dared to humiliate me and looks down on Drifting Flowers Edifice. Xiao Dandan was raging as she recalled the scandal she partook in. Even tears started swelling in her eyes. However, the blue woman eyed her coldly and shouted, Quiet. Haven't you had enough of disgracing yourself? Then turned to Zhuo Fan. I would have long ago put you in your place if not for knowing you had a good reason for using that foul skill to charm a woman in Drifting Flowers City. The woman then turned her attention to Dong Xiaowan and spoke in apology. Miss, Dandan was spoiled by her master. I will make sure to punish her. Please don't take it to heart. Ah, I would never. Dong Xiaowan was startled. The lady in blue smiled as she flew, and 2 ribbons took Xiao Dandan and the unconscious Lin Tianyu. But Xiao Dandan didn't forget to glare at Zhuo Fan with loathing. Zhuo Fan, though, did not care. He was thinking of the blue lady's last brief look she gave him. Thanks to Zhuo Fan's strong soul, he managed to sense it. Was I just found out? Zhuo Fan frowned as he watched her leave. Brother Dong Tianba came with the rest to Zhuo Fan to express his gratitude. Thank you so much. If it weren't for you, the Dong clan's name would have been sullied. Damn it, none of the 7 houses' domain is safe to linger for long. Big brother song. Thank you. Dong Xiaowan tightened the thin clothing on her body and spoke shyly. Not paying attention to any of this, Zhuo Fan spoke with a frown. Bro Dong, who was she? Dong Tianba's tone was grave. Drifting Flowers Edifice's first overseer, the Iris Edifice's Qin Kai-ching. Face such luck that the one we met was the Iris overseer. She is honorable and kind. She is known to never pick on clans and other disciples. But if it were Peony overseer, with her fickle personality, she would have released her wrath on us. I see. With her cultivation, it is no wonder she is an overseer. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and ripped the ribbon to shreds. Bro, how are you so strong? That was Iris Overseer's ribbon imbued with her Yuan Qi. How did you break out of it? Dong Tianba watched Zhuo Fan as though he was viewing a monster. I feel like I don't know you anymore. Laughing, Zhuo Fan waved it off and took out a small bottle. The Song clan is third-rate, but we have our ways. Look, this is our body tempering pill. It's all thanks to this that my body is so strong. As if body tempering pill is only a 4th-grade pill. It's not outstanding enough to make you stronger than a 7th-layer bone tempering cultivator and break out of a profound heaven expert's restriction. Dong Tianba's expression remained impassive. Zhuo Fan smiled. It wouldn't be a secret method of the Song clan if anyone could refine it. You think I'd join the 100-pill meeting if it weren't for this? Dong Tianba was starting to believe him after hearing Zhuo Fan continue to praise the pill, but what they didn't know was that these were only lies made up by Zhuo Fan. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan was feeling vexed. He could not understand why Qin Kai-ching did not expose him if she knew who he was. Did she go to call for help thinking she could not defeat him? If that is the case, then staying here would be all the more dangerous. She could be asking for backup. Zhuo Fan said frantically, Bro Dong, I have some urgent matters to take care of. Let's talk at a later date. Sigh, I haven't given my proper thanks. How can? But before he could finish, Zhuo Fan was already meters away, waving his hand as he left. Dong Tianba was startled but sighed in the end. Bro Song truly is husband material. Wanner, you must be regretting your refusal by now. Brother, Dong Xiaowan rolled her eyes, but still peeked at Zhuo Fan with clear and emotion-filled eyes. Meanwhile, at the Drifting Flowers Edifice, in the guest hall, a charming and enticing woman in red sat in the lounge. She wore a thin veil, obscuring her most prominent features, but it couldn't hide the fire in her eyes that could stir the coldest heart. She was a true vixen. On her left was a middle-aged man, with even whiter hands than hers. He was stroking his goatee, but his eyes rested on her every curve. The woman in red rolled her eyes and smiled. Elder Lin, do I have something on me? Cough. Peony Overseer must be joking. The old man faked his cough and showed an embarrassed smile. I can't help but wonder, why isn't the exalted edifice lord present, and it is the Peony Overseer who is welcoming me instead? He, is Elder Lin not satisfied with me? The lady fluttered her eyes at him. Her gesture almost stole the elder's soul away. Finding it difficult to reply, Peony Overseer is very considerate and kind, and humph. I came here to join the 100-pill meeting, not to see you two flirt. An angry snort came from Peony Overseer's right, a red-haired elderly. Since the meeting hasn't started, I'll be leaving. I have important things to take care of. Hell Valley's 5th elder. Why are you so vexed? Peony Overseer smiled. The meeting will commence upon the edifice lord's order. The great houses have yet to gather, so it is only natural for it to take a while longer. Peony Overseer, don't listen to this old goat grumble. These days, Hell Valley was sacked of its 3 elders by a mere brat. They lost all credibility, so how could they have the patience to participate in the 100-pill meeting? Right now, 5th Elder must be thinking of new and ingenious ways to skin that punk alive. Or maybe the anxiety of having his poor little elderly life in danger got him wound so tight he has been jumping in his sleep. It must be torture, huh? Lindsaytian, screw off. I wonder how many elders Mary Woods would lose if they met that brat. 5th Elder slapped the table and glared at the middle-aged man. Lindsaytian also stood up and returned a glare without fear. Want a fight? Their power was on full display and sparks could fly at any second. But laughter interrupted their staring contest. Ha ha ha. How rowdy. If you guys want to fight it off, count me in. Chapter 96, Vicious Pill King. Chapter 96, Vicious Pill King. P4553R. Those words were made by a man in a green robe entering the guest hall. His hair was green, his eyes were green, and even his beard was green, painting a particularly strange image. He had a violet gourd strapped to his waist. His appearance caused Elder Lin and the 5th Elder to show respect. Master, you are amazing beyond words. Not even Hell Valley and Mary Woods dare utter a sound in your presence. Ha ha ha. A youth in his 20s came following behind the elder. He was at peak bone-tempering stage. Yet, his tone lacked the respect and manner one should have when talking to the 3 other people present there. The trio's faces turned ashen. Their anger was slowly rising, but they held their tongue. This scene would shock anyone. 3 profound heaven experts were mocked by a bone-tempering pup, and they didn't even retort. Despite the rude tone, 5th Elder, who was known for his quick temper, was also silent. A scene that even his disciples would find it hard to imagine. Elder Yin, you should mind your disciple. He doesn't seem to have any manners. Is this how a junior speaks to his elders? 5th Elder said unhappily. Yet the elder in green caressed his beard with a smile. Hell Valley's 5th Elder, why argue with a child? It doesn't befit your status. Ha ha ha. Exactly, you're totally not acting as a senior should. So, why should I treat you like one? The youth's brash voice was tinted with mockery. 5th Elder shivered, and his face turned red, itching to pry this fool's head from his body. But he forced his anger down and resumed to clenching his fists with a crack. A piece of the table was vaporized. Lin Zetian eyed the 5th Elder's anger and secretly sighed. He had some reservations when looking at the elder in green as he forced a laughter. Ha ha ha. I'd never guessed such a small meeting will bring together 4 of the 7 houses. With Elder Yin attending, the meeting will run smoothly. Hee, Lin Zetian, you don't need to give me lip service. I know none of you see me eye to eye. But who told you to name it as the 100-pill meeting? You think it's worthy of the name 100-pill if I, Vicious Pill King, is missing in attendance? The elder in green didn't give Lin Zetian any respect and even mocked him to the point Lin Zetian turned his head away. Peony Overseer was livid, but on top of her anger lied a deep seething hatred. Elder Yin song. Peony Overseer spat. Drifting Flowers Edifice doesn't seem to have extended Pill King Hall an invitation. So why have you graced us with your uninvited presence? Ha ha ha, Peony Overseer, you're as fiery as ever. With his eyes flashing green, Yin Song snorted. In the Tianyu Empire, I can go wherever I want with no one daring to oppose me. Now that I'm here in your Drifting Flowers City, are you going to kick me out? You. She was poised to attack, but Lin Zetian stopped her. Peony Overseer, calm yourself. Eyeing Yin Song cautiously, Lin Zetian sighed as he gave her a look. Before Edifice Lord comes, be careful of devolving the situation. Peony Overseer snorted, turning her body away, easing Lin Zetian's worry. Ha ha ha. Peony Overseer is like a lass, so spiteful. So, it is a wonder to me how you still became an overseer? Master, you were right. A bunch of broads can never accomplish anything. Drifting Flowers Edifice is the worst of the 7 houses by far. The youth ridiculed. The eyes of the 3 turned sharply. Vicious Pill King is too arrogant, and his disciple belittles anyone he sees. Their friendly conversation was interrupted when a sound came from outside the door. Little brother, Drifting Flowers Edifice may have only women, but it has stood strong in Tianyu Empire for a millennia. It has its own principles. It is not something anyone can criticize. A beauty in blue floated in, the Iris Overseer, Qin Kaiqing. Senior sister, you're back. Peony Overseer cried, regaining her confidence. Where did you go? We have someone barging uninvited, and I am powerless to stop them. Peony Overseer's eyes snapped to Yin Song, but Qin Kaiqing simply smiled. Shouldn't you be taking care of your precious disciple instead? I once told you to raise your disciple better, not to disgrace Drifting Flowers Edifice's reputation. Who did she offend? Shaking her head, Qin Kaiqing simply clapped two female disciples, brought Xiao Dandan, who was still wrapped in the blue ribbon. With her curves full on display, she earned the youth's fiery gaze. Then two more disciples brought an unconscious Lin Tianyu. Lin Ziqian jumped next to him. Then his look was filled with murderous desire. Who hurt him? The youth cut her off before she could reply. Master, is that kid's injury grave? Hee, that's putting it mildly. If not dead, then a cripple. The culprit sure had no restraint. Yin Song enjoyed others' misfortune. The youth laughed in ridicule. Mary Wood's disciple can't even take a hit, and his master is no different either. Lin Ziqian gnashed his teeth. Glaring at the youth, Qin Kaiqing smiled. Little brother is wrong. The one he met was an even younger man, whose strength is above all the 7 houses' genius disciples. Little brother is Elder Yan's disciple, but even you will meet the same fate. The youth frowned, filled with rebuke. Qin Kaiqing secretly smiled. Senior sister, why didn't you bring him? Is he stronger than you? Peony Overseer jerked, shaking her head. Qin Kaiqing said, perhaps not, but you know how I am, staying outside others' affairs. If someone messed with my disciple, I'll intervene, but... Qin Kaiqing sighed as she looked at Xiao Dandan. Dandan, you explain. And be honest. I already know everything that transpired. Yes, Senior Aunt. Xiao Dandan sobbed a nod, then retold the events. The people there sighed at the conclusion. Not for the humiliated Dong clan, though, since none of the 7 houses gave a damn about these people. They were considered slaves in their eyes, and their disciples were of the same mind. Some might be even more ruthless than Xiao Dandan. It was only thanks to the Drifting Flowers Edifice's restrictions on their disciples that made them far more restrained. What was on everyone's mind was Zhuo Fan's conduct. Not only did he end the humiliation the Dong clan received, but turned the humiliation back at Xiao Dandan and her fiancé. With such a savage method, 5th Elder couldn't help associating him with a familiar figure. Didn't his actions resemble that of Zhuo Fan, who killed the 7th Elder? He stroked his beard as he stated, "Ha ha ha, what is wrong with the Tianyu Empire? With Zhuo Fan as the origin, many more are starting to belittle the 7 houses, assaulting our disciples again and again. If we don't keep them in check, none will fear us." He. Isn't it all because of Hell Valley's incompetence? You have yet to find that insolent brat too. You're making us, the other 6 houses, look bad. Yin Song mocked 5th Elder wasn't angry as he turned to the youth behind him with a smile. Yeah, it's all our fault. But for an elder to step into a disciple's conflict, isn't it more shameful? Lin Ziqian, too bad you didn't bring another disciple to take revenge for Tianyu and save that Dandan girl's reputation. The youth jumped in front of Xiao Dandan before Lin Ziqian could reply, and took her arm. Come with me, I will avenge you. And with that short declaration, the two were gone, causing the 5th Elder to show a broad smile. Insolent. That brat has no manners at all. He even ignored my presence and took my disciple away. Peony Overseer's lip trembled in rage. Yin Song waved his hand as he walked off. Ha ha ha. In this world, a woman's fate is to land in a man's arms. Drifting Flowers Edifice wouldn't have lasted so long without this. When Yin Song was gone, the 5th Elder's eyes squinted as he too took the initiative to leave. That old fool must have also sensed it. Peony Overseer was confused. Why is everyone leaving? Lin Ziqian frowned, eyeing Qin Kaiqing with a profound gaze. Iris Overseer, are you certain that troublemaker isn't that demon Zhuo Fan? What? He's Zhuo Fan? Peony Overseer jerked. Qin Kaiqing's eyes showed a peculiar light. I am unclear. The kid is outstanding, but not enough to kill profound heaven experts. Maybe he is faking it, Lin Zetian then laughed. I see now why even vicious Pill King is impatient to watch the fight. If he really is Zhuo Fan, his disciple is as good as dead. At that time, Yen Song will make a move. However, his lips traced a cryptic curve. Qing Kaiqing finished. It is unclear if Zhuo Fan can kill a man viler than even Yugiki. After all, he is called the Vicious Pill King for a reason. Lin Zetian nodded with a mutter. I just hope he is Zhuo Fan. Chapter 97, Scourge Woman. Chapter 97, Scourge Woman. Under the faint rays of dusk, Zhuo Fan was venturing alone through the city. He seemed to be at ease, but his mind was hard at work. He was spreading his soul to his surroundings for detection purposes, yet, after such a long time, no expert appeared in sight. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe my cover isn't blown. Zhuo Fan whispered. As he strolled around, he ended up around a street with run-down buildings. This place housed people like Zhuo Fan, those from third-rate clans. Hey, this is my area. Take your things out of here. Cut the crap. I came first. What's yours? Get lost. Kid, you dare talk back to this young master? Do you know who I am? Humph. Why would anyone care? If you think you're so great, then how did you end up here? These events played out everywhere, the third-rate clans claiming a new dwelling as theirs. This was a place where the weak were despised. Yet, ironically, even these weaklings, who were discarded in this dump, fought among each other. Humph. What a pathetic bunch. This is why third-rate clans can't amount to anything and deserves to be in the slums. Zhuo Fan spoke in a harsh voice. No longer paying them any heed, he walked further in and found the shabby buildings on both sides have already been taken. Everyone eyed him with open hostility, afraid he'd want to fight them over their lodgings. This seemed like a common occurrence here. Zhuo Fan scoffed. His every action was only to further his own goals. Fighting over a house disgraceful to him, unfortunately, he found no place vacant as he wandered around. Do I need to fight for a bed? It is much better to take the sky as my roof. Zhuo Fan suddenly halted. His eyes watched the house before him with skepticism. Then he looked at the people around oddly. At the end of this row of shabby houses, there was one building that looked to be in better shape. Yet no one lived in it with how rowdy the crowd was before. Now, there was no sign of anyone around. Frowning, he turned to the people fighting in doubt. Why are you foolishly fighting? Can't you see that empty house? Humph, you're the fool. If you want to die, go right ahead. Someone was quick to snap in derision. Zhuo Fan was baffled. But one man was kind enough to advise, brother, you can stay at my house if you'd like. I will make room for you, but you mustn't step foot in that one. Why? Sighing, the man explained, you are new here, so you don't know. The owner is a scourge woman, her body riddled with disease. Many have disregarded this warning and chose to live there. Even though they stayed far away from her, in the back of the house, they all died 3 days later. Yeah, not even beggars would stay there. And because of lack of space in the Drifting Flowers City, as the 100-pill meeting approaches, we were sent to this dump. Goddamit, isn't Drifting Flowers Edifice the ruler here? Why don't they just take out this scourged woman once and for all? Zhuo Fan snorted inside. If that woman was disease-ridden, he had to see it firsthand for himself. You all are standing outside yapping on and on. None of you dare to take action and still want to send someone else in to kill her. It was obvious who were the true scourges. Ignoring the senseless chatter, Zhuo Fan was walking straight to it under everyone's gaze. Brother, do you have a death wish? My life is boundless. Zhuo Fan waved him off. Whether plagued or poisoned, while other people heated in anxiety, he was worryless. Demon transformation art could absorb anything in this world, even this disease. The closer he got to this plague district, the colder it became. This made Zhuo Fan frown. He found no plague here, but abnormal changes that could only come about from an array. Who's there? Zhuo Fan followed the shout to see a girl before a broken-down house in rough linen staring at him. The girl may be dressed in coarse linen, hiding her form and face, but her pure eyes caught Zhuo Fan off guard. He swore he never saw such mesmerizing eyes in his life. What beautiful eyes! Zhuo Fan admired the girl's cheeks turned a tint rosier. Her eyes lowered a bit, but still had the same coldness. Who are you? Who told you you can come in? I am Nitrain City's Songyu. arriving here for the 100-pill meeting. Because of my third-rate clan status, I can only stay here. Zhuofan cupped his hands, smiling like a gentleman. The girl frowned, her tone harsh. Then stay in another house. Aren't you afraid of death by coming here? I believe death is unimportant. I saw how selfish and despicable the people here are acting and couldn't recognize such men as my neighbors. I would rather choose death in this peaceful place. Stop lying. Think I'd believe your sophistry? She huffed helpless. Zhuofan made a heartbroken face. Lady, I'll be honest. All the people before are stronger than me, and I can't beat them. If you throw me out, I will die at their hands. To such a sound argument, the lady nodded, believing it somewhat. But Zhuofan switched tones way too fast, which caught her off guard and caused her to be suspicious. Her tone grew colder as she asked, You're afraid of being beaten to death, but not afraid of me. Do you know who I am? I do, of course I do. Zhuofan bobbed his head. I heard them say there is a Scourge woman here. That must mean you. But I would rather get diseased than die beaten. As they say, a flower should be allowed to roam free. Quiet, don't try to play smart with me. The lady snapped, her eyes darting around in thought. She pointed her white finger to a broken house. Sleep there, but you are to never wander outside at night, or you will die. Yes, lady, I promise. Zhuofan nodded, and when he looked up, she was gone. He narrowed his eyes, and his revering gaze now turned to one of coldness. I couldn't see through her cultivation. Did she reach the radiant stage? Or maybe she's a common person. But how can a common person hold such a tone before a bone-tempering expert? Humph, how amusing. Zhuofan's mouth perked up into a grin and entered his house. You must be up to something since you forbid me from going out at night. Then I will do just that and find out what you're hiding. Zhuofan went to meditate. Time trickled by, and the night cast a cloak of darkness over the slums. A sudden ripple came from the slums, followed by a sharp decrease in temperature. Zhuofan shivered and muttered, I was right. It is an array. His hand flashed and revealed a small bottle. It contained the same pill he used in Allbeast Mountain Range, an energy-concealing pill. Whoosh! Zhuofan flicked it into the air, and a flash of red came from his body and swallowed it. The ethereal blood infant made Zhuofan give off a wicked smile. Not even a radiant stage could find it now that it ate that pill. Go. Blood infant went through the walls and flew deeper into the slums, reaching the furthest area. That place was in ruins, ruins that formed an odd array. The lady sat upright in its center, deep in meditation. The bright moonlight, with its extreme coldness, entered inside the array than her body, while the rest chilled the slums with each ray of power from the moonlight she absorbed. Her body grew a sheen layer of ice. Then, a green flash from her forehead pierced through the ice and slowly faded away each time that happened. The lady's eyelids trembled, as if in great pain. Third grade array, a moon array. Zhuofan sighed and withdrew the blood infant. He now understood why the previous people died. He thought it was because of the Scourge woman's vile conduct or her disease. But after he saw it, he knew that it was neither of those. She was only treating herself. The ignorant people approached her, and the moonlight's energy ravaged through their meridians, and that damage eventually killed the moon array, allowed one to absorb the moon's and cultivate. But spending too much time in it would throw one's inner balance out of whack. Yet, this Scourge woman had no intention of cultivating. She was just using the moon's to suppress the poison inside her. Unfortunately, this was not without side effects. As gathered inside, her meridians would start to deteriorate, and one day, she would become a cripple. The more she tried to contain the poison, the more violent it would be. When she couldn't hold it in check any longer, it could even take her life. Such a scene caused even the great demon cultivator, Zhuofan, to feel pity for the lady. Just what poison was so deadly that needed such an extreme method to suppress it? Chapter 98, Playing the Fool. Chapter 98, Playing the Fool. At the first ray of dawn, the moon hid back behind the forest while the sun was rising to take its rightful place in the sky. In its shine, the ice on the Scourge woman thawed. The lady opened her eyes and sighed with exhaustion. Lady. A cry of shock came from Zhuofan, holding fruits to his bosom as he staggered towards her. The Scourge woman jumped to her feet and waved the leaves to cover the array. Then she snapped a glare towards Zhuofan, Didn't I tell you not to wander about? What are you doing here? Lady, you didn't say anything about going out during the day. Fan acted oblivious to the array beneath him. Pointing naively at the sky, the Scourge woman was stunned, then blushed. She rebuked, "If you are to stay in this place, you must remain in your quarters, even through the day, or I'll kick you out." Fan shuddered from the heavy injustice that befell him. He hanged his head and walked away with remorse. But then he turned to leave the fruits before the woman. "Lady, I find your complexion to be slightly pale, so I picked these this morning. Please take them. And thank you for letting me stay." Fan sighed and trod away. He made himself out to seem as though he was a particularly bleak figure, filled with loneliness, who had suffered a dash of injustice. The woman turned from him to the fruits, and her heart softened. Picking one up, Fan's back was towards her, but his soul gave him full knowledge of her every move. He let out a devious grin so long she picked just one fruit. It proved he had made a breakthrough to her heart. Next, he needed to stick to her for as long as possible to find out the poison that had cursed her. There's a fine line between godly medicine and abominable poison. As the 100-pill meeting hadn't begun yet, he had no clue where to search for rare ingredients. Since he had the time, who knew if he might get something from sticking close to this Scourge woman? Women are the best swindler and, ironically enough, the easiest targets. Fan snickered inside as he slumped away from her sight. Noon, the Scourge woman was doing her usual routine. Sitting upright on a rock, absorbing the sunshine one breath at a time, a sudden hubbub pierced her ears, disturbing her inner peace. With fire in her eyes, she marched to the source. She watched a throng of people raving, "Kill him! Beat that lousy punk to death!" She approached doubtfully and witnessed Fan wrestling with a stocky third-layer bone-tempering expert. She shook her head, ready to leave, but Fan yelled at the top of his lungs, "I won't let you insult her. She is a good person. Screw you. That Scourge woman killed numerous people already, and you still dare to take her side?" The stocky man he was fighting against punctuated his reproval with a slap, but Fan was stubborn as a mule. He was mocked, roughed up, shamed. Yet his eyes never lost their will to fight. "Humph. She's been living here long since you came barging in. Before then, some people died of God knows what, and you people start slander the lady. Can you even call yourself a man? Hey, this kid is asking for it. Finish him off." "Yeah, letting him live will invite disaster upon us. He is just like that Scourge woman, wanting to kill us all. But before he kills us, we'll just have to take him out." "Kill, kill!" The crowd began chanting like madmen. The Scourge woman saw this unfold with a shiver as anger started to well up in her eyes. "Stop!" A crisp shout rang in their ears, even over the thunderous roars of the mob. They turned in shock, then shivered in fear, staggering away. "It's the Scourge woman. Watch out, everyone, or she'll infect you if she gets too close." In an instant, the people around started to run off. Even that bone-tempering expert dismounted Fan's prone figure and fled in fear. The Scourge woman walked straight to Fan and helped him stand. She only eyed the crowd around them, then brought him back to the plagued house. The mob sighed in relief and wiped their sweat as they watched them go. "Split the money." A sudden shout echoed. The people gathered around again, and at the center was a pile of glittering spirit stones. The dazzling show of light struck the core of everyone. "Damn. This must be more than 10,000. Wasn't that kid from a third-rate clan? How did he get so rich?" "Hey, stop poking your nose in others' business. Who cares if he wants you to beat him up as long as you get paid? This must be around 50,000 spirit stones." That young master said, "Each can take 1,000, not a stone more." I got it. That fellow wants that Scourge woman, so he wanted us to make a play. He is playing with fire. Who in the hell would go after a woman plagued with disease? Bam! But his words were welcomed with a flurry of blows. The man turned in shock at the angry stocky man. "He told you to not speak of this once you get your cut. If just one of you has loose tongues, all of us will end up dead." What's so scary about a rich kid? Even if he might be from a second-rate clan. The first guy was still trying to justify himself, but the stocky man's slap left him traveling through the air. "Bastard. I told you to shut up. You can't even begin to imagine what that young lord will do to us if this gets found out." The stocky man's inflamed fists trembled with fear, recalling the scene of a man turning to ashes before him. Jua Fan let only him witness the almighty power of fear. The others were oblivious to his devious and poisonous acts. Nonetheless, since this stocky man was the strongest among them, if he was scared, he would share the fear and keep his words in mind in a flash. They clamped their mouths and left after taking their share of spirit stones. On the other side, the Scourge woman took Jua Fan to the broken-down house. A small bottle appeared in her hand after seeing his bruised-up and bleeding body. She ordered in a rather cold voice, "Eat it." Jua Fan knew it was a healing pill, but he turned his head away. How could those useless bone-tempering men even dent his perfect fifth-grade demonic treasure body? His wounds were self-inflicted to stir pity in the Scourge woman's heart, and if he just ate the pill, the woman would just take off. So he put up a tough front, like a spoiled brat. The woman, however, was perplexed. "What? Scared there's poison? I am not afraid of staying with you. Do you think I'm afraid of you poisoning a pill?" Jua Fan huffed. "Didn't you tell me to get lost? Why did you save me then?" The Scourge woman eyed him deeply. "Then, why did you still try to defend me before those people? Weren't you afraid of being beaten to death? If I had arrived just 1 second later, you'd have died." Jua Fan laughed and sighed. He knew that after a full night spent on absorbing the moon's yin, the following day would be used on absorbing the sun's yang to warm her meridians. If not, even the strongest of experts could not withstand the corrosive yin energy raining havoc through their body. When he did his rounds around the area, he knew the spot she picked for absorbing yang. It was all a matter of staging a good show with his fellow neighbors. Not even mild-tempered people could keep away from the ruckus once their meditation was interrupted. In layman's terms, it all went according to Jua Fan's foolproof plan to breach the Scourge woman's psychological barriers and accept him with all her heart. Jua Fan turned his head and stared right in her eyes until her own eyes faltered away. He spoke with emotion. "My mother said, eyes are a window to one's soul. There's no way a person with such beautiful eyes possess an evil heart. And you also let me stay. You definitely have a good heart. If those people slander you for murder, how could I stand by and not defend your name?" Jua Fan's open bootlicking was filled with childish naivety, lacking the feeling of deception an adult would have. If a lady heard it, she wouldn't loathe this childish behavior. On the contrary, they would like it even more. That's the secret to capturing a woman's heart. Not using flowery and sweet words, but to stir her motherly side. This epiphany came to him after talking with Dong Tianba. He used to feel Dong Tianba and Song Yu were simply mighty silk pants. Though their chasing skills were vile and repulsive, it still achieved results. Therefore, he was using the same methods. It's true, the world is filled with wondrous traits. Everyone's a master in something. The effect was obvious. The Scourge woman's cheeks tinted red and snapped, silver-tongued. But the eyes, though, now showed acceptance. "Thanks, Brother Dong. Thank you for teaching me the way of chasing." Jua Fan secretly sighed, but his face was still etched with that childlike innocence as he laughed. "Sister, I know you for so long, yet I haven't caught your name." "How is that long? We only saw each other 3 times. Rolling her eyes, the Scourge woman mumbled, "You call me Sister Choo Choo?" "Yes, Sister Choo Choo." Jua Fan put on a puppy-eyed face that made even him nauseous, but his hands were tied. "Women ate them like candy. Now take the pill." Choo Choo extended the bottle, but Jua Fan smiled and opened his mouth. "Sister Choo Choo, feed me." Sighing, Choo Choo shook her head helpless, glared, but she still extended him a pill with her dainty hand. Jua Fan saw her hand approaching and grabbed her wrist suddenly, pouring in his yuan qi. Chapter 99. Amazing Alchemy Skill. Chapter 99. Amazing Alchemy Skill. His yuan qi didn't travel far as a sudden chill, caused by the yin power, broke his contact, and a thin layer of ice crystals formed on his hand. Jua Fan was in shock. This didn't come as a result of the terrible chill, since it belonged to the yin power of the moon. What startled him so was the poison the Scourge woman was housing in her body. There were 7 types of poison twisted inside, and each one of them was enough to leave a person dead as a doornail. As opposed to miraculous medicines, this was a certain death poison. With how the 7 poison were twisted among each other, even a radiant stage expert would be in endless torment before dying. He didn't know anyone so vile and malicious that would administer such poison. But one thing he did know: the poison was far too strong to be suppressed by the Moonzine power alone, and there was one more thing Zhua Fan found inside her body fighting off the 7 poisons: a medicine. The Bodhi Jade sap. With his eyes wide, Zhua Fan's heart was in exultation. Bodhi Jade sap was a miraculous medicine capable of reviving someone from an inch of death, a 7th, if not 8th grade medicine. 1 drop was enough to save a mortally wounded person, and this was what Zhua Fan's aim all along. Now, he was apathetic to the Scourge woman's plight, only having eyes for the Bodhi Jade sap to restore the Thunder Skylark egg. All that was left was to figure out how to get it out of her. This miraculous treasure wasn't a common topic he could discuss with her. It breached one's lifeline. What are you doing? Zhua Fan's act was instantaneous, and only now did she pull her dainty hand away and glared in fury, his eyes darting around. Zhua Fan put on a sappy face, rubbing his hands in worry. Sister Choo-Choo, your hand is so cold. Let me warm you up. Don't play with me. Choo-Choo stared at him, filled with doubt. Say it. Why did you search me with you on Chi? Zhua Fan sighed. I noticed Sister Choo-Choo's unwell complexion, and since my clan is an alchemist clan, I thought of helping you. I didn't expect Sister to doubt me. Zhua Fan now sported a face filled with injustice, and even sniffed to drive the point in. It had the obvious effect, and Choo-Choo's heart softened, and her eyes no longer glared. My injury isn't something a third-rate clan can help with. But thank you. Who says that? Zhua Fan raised his head, like an indignant child. My Song clan from Nitrain City have been alchemists for generations. My dad is a 3rd-grade alchemist and passed his teachings on to me. If you don't believe it, come and see my skills. Zhua Fan grabbed Choo-Choo's soft hand and went outside. Choo-Choo was so stunned she forgot to fight back no matter what she was thinking. She didn't seem to want to cut at this big boy's enthusiasm. Zhua Fan led Choo-Choo through some broken-down houses, to the fright of the new locals. Of course, most of them were in fear of the Scourge woman, while only one man felt dread from Zhua Fan. He was the stocky man who witnessed Zhua Fan's vicious methods. The pair arrived at the tavern where Dong Tianba stayed. In his rush before, he even left the Song carriage here. It contained the ingredients the Song clan readied for the meeting, bro. He ran right into the Dong siblings. Dong Tianba was in glee while Dong Xiaowan gave a bashful nod. Big brother Song. Yet, Dong Xiaowan felt something strange as she caught his hand holding Choo-Choo's wrist. Dong Tianba noticed this also and felt awkward. Bro, who is she? Sister Choo-Choo, a new friend? Zhua Fan smiled at his words. Dong Tianba dragged him to the side with a raised eyebrow. Wait to go, bro. You got one just as you arrived. Ha ha ha, it's all thanks to Brother Dong. Zhua Fan's words came from his heart. You'd think a cultivation maniac like him would know how to get close to Choo-Choo if not for yesterday's long chat with this prodigal son. Stealing a glance at Choo-Choo, Dong Tianba gave a lustful grin. Bro, is she hot? I can't tell from her clothes, but she should be hiding something amazing. I'm not sure since I never saw her body. What? Dong Tianba cried out. Not even her face? And you want to bet her? Zhua Fan shrugged. Don't be like that. I don't look at her like that anyway. Zhua Fan brushed past him, letting him stand dumbstruck, his brows furrowed in deep confusion. If a man isn't after a woman for her body, then is it for love? When did my dear bro change so much? Brother Dong, where's my carriage? Dong Tianba recovered only after he heard Zhua Fan's yell. He replied, in the back of the tavern. Come with me. Dong Tianba led them out back and Zhua Fan went right inside the carriage. Beginning to take out all the glittering and odd ingredients, he didn't look at all serious. Instead, he was as pure as a child. Choo-Choo found it normal, but the Dong siblings were startled. Where did the vicious and sinister Zhua Fan of yesterday go? Dong Tianba then realized. It seems that love can make a man go crazy. Bro, you are caught in a love trap. Not minding the looks he got, Zhua Fan met Choo-Choo's eyes and spoke with a boyish smile. Sister Choo-Choo, watch closely. His hand now held a scarlet yuan chi flame, throwing dozens of ingredients inside. Yet it was amazing how the ingredients didn't mix. What precise control. Dong Tianba exclaimed a third-grade alchemist could, at best, handle 9 ingredients at once. But Zhuo Fan made light work of dozens. His skill went beyond the 4th grade. Perhaps even 5th, 4th grade alchemists were seen only in second-rate clans, 5th grade and first-rate clans. As for those above, they were talents raised in the 7 houses. Dong Tianba just couldn't believe it. When he met Song Yu again in this city, he discovered that not only did his power sword, but even his alchemy ability jumped. If he had 1 iota of skill he shows today at the start, the clan head wouldn't have refused him. Dong Xiaowan was watching him with an even more amazed expression. Chu nodded faintly, her eyes evoking praise. His skill at his age made Zhuo Fan a diamond in the rough. But Zhuo Fan wasn't going for just praise, he wanted shock. Only shock was enough to assure Chu of his alchemy ability and let him have the Bodhi Jade sap. Then, Zhuo Fan's eyes narrowed and gripped the scarlet flame containing the ingredients, putting it out. Only a weak trail of smoke was left behind. What are you doing? Dong Tianba cried. I thought this guy improved, but why does he suddenly lack common sense? If you forge all the ingredients together and put out the flame, you'll ruin them. Chu shook her head with a light smile. He is still a child. How can you refine with an unsteady heart? Then, among the pitying gazes, Zhuo Fan smirked mysteriously. As an alchemist, how can I not know when my pill is ruined? I don't need you to remind me. With a smug smile, Zhuo Fan opened his hand. A piercing red light flashed and left behind a round red and glossy pill. How is this possible? Dong Tianba was beyond shocked, not daring to even believe this was real. It went against all alchemical common sense. From the gloss and the fragrance, it denoted it as a second-grade pill, but of top quality. It had a far greater value than any pill of the same grade and apt description would be, a pill that jumped grades. Chu narrowed her eyes in shock. This was her first time witnessing such a skill. Zhuo Fan snickered inside. This refining method was called Universe Palm, taken from the 9 Serenity's secret records. It preserved the ingredients' effects and even boosted the pill to top quality. It was no wonder those in the mortal domain were oblivious to it. Since not even the sacred domain was aware of its existence, how could mortals even begin to understand the secret methods of the ancients? It was all for the sake of getting that Bodhi Jade sap, or Zhuo Fan wouldn't have revealed such a technique. To common folk, this secret art meant nothing, but to alchemists, they would rave over it. He'd be inviting disaster if they knew of it, but these potential issues were for him to deal with in the future. All that mattered now was gaining Chu's trust. Zhuo Fan grinned as he brought the glossy red pill before Chu. Sister Chu, I felt your hand freezing, so this young pill is for you. Chu raised her eyebrow, but mocked instead. I appreciate your kindness, but young pill is a second-grade pill. It has no effect on me. How can you be certain if you haven't tried it yet? Zhuo Fan's cryptic smile left Chu in doubt. But she also knew this pill wasn't ordinary thanks to the special method he employed in refining it. She chose to take it after some muttering. Chu suddenly felt her body shivering, her eyes filled with shock. She had an expression that no one could decipher. Chapter 100, Rainbow Cloud Palm. Chapter 100, Rainbow Cloud Palm. How is this possible? Chu exclaimed. That pill was unlike any she had taken. It dissolved in an instant into a miniature sun and caused her to let out a scorching breath. The strong pill effect traveled to every corner of her body, warming it up. When the effect faded, a comfortable feeling still lingered while also dispelling most of the Yin power damaging her meridians she absorbed last night. Chu was incredulous such an astonishing pill existed in this world. Her Yuan Qi was of Yin attribute, and normal Yang attribute pills would be rendered useless. As such, a mere second-grade Yang pill should have already been offset by her body before it could help dispel the moon's Yin power inside her. But Zhuo Fan's pill was burning like the sun. Yet it was gentle, nurturing the recovery of her meridians. The crux of it all was that her Yuan Qi didn't fight against it, allowing her to capitalize on the pill's entire effect. This went beyond even her wildest dreams. A pair of sparkling eyes stared at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan was gleeful inside as he smiled. How is it, Sister Chu? My pill is different from the rest. Chu nodded unconsciously as she praised. You are so young yet using such an enigmatic refining skill. In a few years, the entire empire will know your name. It has already, though you don't know it yet. Zhuo Fan cursed inside, but his face still evoked the same boyish smile. Then, Sister Chu-Chu, if there's anything hurting your body, I will make it sure that it stops. Chu-Chu jerked. Zhuo Fan's words struck a chord in her. She knew her own body all too well and needed a great alchemist to remove the poison. However, Chu-Chu muttered to herself. Zhuo Fan was always watching her, his heart stretched taut. If his mind could be heard, it would be like, "What's the hold up? Hurry up and fork that damn Bodhi Jade sap over. If you don't have it, then point me in the right direction at least." Then, a laugher suddenly resounded. "Ha ha ha, took you long enough. I've been waiting here for a whole day, brat." Two figures landed from the sky. One was dressed in red, the beautiful figure of the girl Zhuo Fan humiliated yesterday, Xiao Dandan. The other was a man, a handsome youth in green and with an eerie green flicker in his eye. Dong Tianba and his sister jumped in shock. Chu-Chu was also affected, staring at the two with a complicated gaze. While Zhuo Fan's expression was grave, his eyes glinting dangerously. "Son of a bitch. I almost had it. Your meddling warrants death." Zhuo Fan was itching to snap these two's necks, but noticing Chu-Chu, "Forget it. I'll keep playing the naive child." Punk. I heard you were quite strong." "Sister Chu-Chu, they're picking on me. Beat them up." While the smug green youth was pointing at him, Zhuo Fan pulled on Chu-Chu's clothes. He was striking an uncanny resemblance to a younger brother bullied by others, and asking his boss for help. This caused a widespread shock to all that knew of yesterday's affair. The green youth's face twitched, watching Xiao Dandan in skepticism. "Miss Dandan, is he the one who was hard on you yesterday? Is he the same insufferably arrogant punk? Why is it he has not one bone in his back?" Xiao Dandan felt dizzy. He wasn't like this before. He was even bossy with my senior aunt. Is he bipolar? Young Master Yin, he is. But he wasn't like this yesterday. Humph, whatever. Since he is the one, I will give him a reckoning for what happened to you. Snorting, he said to Zhuo Fan, "I don't care if you're a spineless coward or a retard. Since you offended people from the 7 houses, you deserve death. With how skilled and heavy-handed you were when dealing with Lin Tianyu, you are worthy of my personal involvement." "You beat Lin Tianyu? Weren't you weaker than even a third-rate clan's disciple?" Zhuo Fan's eyes darted everywhere, then gave an embarrassed smile. If I say he tripped and hurt himself, would you believe me?" Everyone almost lost balance and collapsed. "Dude, can't you come up with a more realistic lie?" Chu-Chu smiled out of anger. "Songyu, if you admit you lied to me from the start, I can still forgive you. But you are clearly taking me for a fool." Chu-Chu brushed her sleeve and vanished, leaving only her angry voice in his ear. "Humph, since you court it, you deal with it. Sister Chu-Chu, let me explain." Zhuo Fan trailed, but she was gone when Zhuo Fan turned around. His eyes were cold and deadly. His previous cute and adorable look was gone, replaced with murderous desire. "You bastard. Couldn't you wait a minute more? You ruined my plan." Zhuo Fan's tone carried a vicious desire for revenge, making Xiao Dandan shiver as she hid behind the green youth. Even the youth held a serious expression. From being in contact with so many people from the 7 houses, it was easy to figure out a man's nature from a single glance. But Zhuo Fan's naked killing intent made his judgment moot. Such savagery only came from the kind of beast. "Humph, from how tough you act, it is no wonder that you dealt a heavy blow to Lin Tianyu." The green youth mocked. "Too bad you met me. Pill King Hall, vicious Pill King. Yin Song's head disciple, Yin Fu. I am unlike that trash from Merry Woods who indulges in lust. I am the vicious Pill King's successor." Zhuo Fan frowned. Vicious Pill King was the title of the best alchemist in Pill King Hall, but the first in Pill King Hall wasn't like the first in any other clans. To some clans, their #1 alchemist title was gained by being the best in alchemy. But in Pill King Hall, it not only represented alchemy but also concocting poison, unlike any other. From this his title, Vicious Pill King. It could be said that he was the mightiest killer and savior in the world. With life and death in his hands, he became known as a true Pill King. In other words, this kid's good at poisons. Humph. Zhuo Fan mocked and sighed. Poison might inconvenience the rest, But to him it had no effect. See how I use my demon transformation art and wring your cultivation dry. With a crack of lightning, Zhua Fan appeared before Yin Fu. The shock Yin Fu felt was palpable, not expecting the first layer of bone-tempering stage cultivator to employ such speed. It was no wonder that Mary Wood's disciple, who despite his focus on speed lost so badly, yet before he could react, Zhua Fan kicked him in the stomach, spewing blood. Yin Fu flew out, making a human-shaped hole in the wall around the tavern, and bounced 50 meters in the street. Everyone was slack-jawed, to be honest. If not for Zhua Fan's irritated state, he would have toned it down, casting a side glance at Xiao Dandan. She was scared out of her wits. Zhua Fan sneered. No matter who you call, they'll all end the same. Do you women from Drifting Flowers Edifice can only rely on men? Ha ha ha. Zhua Fan walked away and left her crying, feeling wronged. Zhua Fan's contempt and harsh tone cut deep into her. It was no longer humiliation, but despise. Going through the broken wall, Zhua Fan walked towards Yin Fu, who was getting up. The tavern's customers and the bystanders hid when they saw it was a fight involving the 7 houses. Quite fast. The fastest beneath profound heaven's stage, I reckon. Yin Fu sneered as he wiped the blood from his mouth. Zhua Fan snickered. Well, this is a first. Seeing one happy to be beaten. Humph. I am happy, but of certain victory. Victory? Zhua Fan disdained. I know Pilking Hall can make pills as well as poisons. But you think you can beat me with poisons? Ha ha ha. Debased punk. You know nothing of the world. Yin Fu's eyes flashed as he laughed. My master is vicious Pill King, revered by all. If not for his poisons, why do you think the 7 houses fear him? Yin Fu spread his arms. A mist flew from his palms that gradually changed its color, soon letting out 3 different types of light red, yellow, and green interweaved. Zhua Fan scratched his nose, feeling slightly numb. Crud. This punk's poison skills are good to the point that even I have been affected. He was cursing inside, however. Zhua Fan had a calm expression on the outside. Have a taste of Pilking Hall's legacy. Profound ranked martial art, Rainbow Cloud Palm. 14 chapters a week again. This will be the last dump for a long time. We will reach/surpass manga this week. Chapter 101, Lunatic. Chapter 101, Lunatic. P4553R. With his final words, the palms gushed out a tricolored mist. In a mere blink, it rotated around him like a tornado, obscuring his form. Zhua Fan gave a cold laugh inside. Those from Pilking Hall are focused on practicing poison and, just like Mary Wood's, who focus on speed, their bodies aren't tempered at all. Their bodies were weak, and to cover it up, he hid in the mist, at a safe distance. Too bad your trick won't work on me. His eyes flashed and Zhua Fan charged, planning on wringing the punk's neck in one move. But he stopped soon after. As he looked at the mist, he realized something. Damn, it's a trap. He came here to exact revenge for Xiao Dandan, but in fact, he's been egged on to come here and probe me. If not, Drifting Flowers Edifice's men would have come to settle their disciples' matter. Why would they let this kid steal the limelight? Zhua Fan breathed in and his eyes returned to the usually calm and calculative look. Iris Overseer is unclear on who I am and tricked this kid into testing me. I can assume there are a few profound heaven experts already watching. Humph, not a bad plan. Zhua Fan laughed coldly inside as he withdrew. No longer having the desire to kill in his eyes under these circumstances, he must not win no matter what. Ha ha ha, punk. Weren't you cocky of your speed? Come on then. Yin Fu's egotistical voice came from inside the mist. Zhua Fan tapped his chin with a faint smile. Ha ha ha. Think I'm stupid? You come out if you dare. I don't believe you'll stay there for a lifetime. When you're out of Yuan Qi, I will put you in your place. Humph, you're sadly mistaken if you think the Rainbow Cloud Palm is only used for defense. I will let you experience the perfect martial art. Whoosh. 3 tendrils of mist moved from the tornado, like hands, going after Zhua Fan. Their speed no less than his. Zhua Fan ducked and dodged through the gaps in the attacks. But the tendrils suddenly turned and came from his back. Ha ha. Now you see, punk? Pilking Hall's Rainbow Cloud Palm isn't just for defense. No matter what you do, you will still die. Yin Fu was cackling smugly while Zhuo Fan was dodging with contempt. Poison users were strong and weak at the same time. Before the poison was dispelled, the user would be invincible. But after, he was the weakest person ever. He'd be even weaker than a cultivator at the same stage. Among the 10 ancient emperors, not one relied on poison as their main path. The Peking Hall was so stuck up because of this technique, because there hadn't been anyone who could counter it. Humph. Once I deal with your palm technique, the Peking Hall will be kicked out of the 7 houses. See how you'll cry then. As for now, humph, I'll endure. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth, but his silence only worked to bolster Yin Fu's haughty attitude. Thinking he was scared, punk. Don't think you can mess with 7 noble houses just because you're a bit stronger than average. You might not care about the rest of them, but let me tell you, when provoking Peking Hall, all that you'll receive is death. The hell? When did I go and do that? Didn't you pick on me on purpose? Gasping, Zhuo Fan clenched his fists. This punk is too damn patronizing. I might fake defeat, but not before I let him have a small taste. At this thought, Zhuo Fan stopped his running, as if tired. Yin Fu was thrilled, sending the red, yellow, and green tendrils of poisonous mist right for him, but Zhuo Fan squinted and with a loud bang, he charged through the 3 tendrils of poison and into the mist like an artillery shell. Yin Fu could foresee what Zhuo Fan was planning to do and became startled. He was preparing to move out of the way, but he was late to react and Zhuo Fan was already before him, his hand clutching at his neck. Son of a bitch, if poison is so great, then you and I will die together then. Poison seeped into his body and Zhuo Fan's face alternated between red, yellow, and green. His mouth and nose were bleeding constantly, but he couldn't care less, kicking Yin Fu in the chest. Bones cracked with a crisp sound and Yin Fu spat blood. His eyes were filled with fright. He couldn't believe there was a man who didn't fear poison and charge in with such determination. Most people would have hesitated in face of a poison mist, but who knew Zhuo Fan to be the exception? His method was that of staunch determination, choosing death for both of them. Was Yin Fu about to meet his end? Lunatic, you're truly insane. Yin Fu was going hysterical, watching dark blood flow freely from Zhuo Fan's face. Grinning, Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with a crazed look. Hee, I am crazy. Since I'm going to die, I'm going to take you down first and avenge myself. Zhuo Fan kicked Yin Fu's chest 3 more times, breaking all his ribs. Yin Fu was itching to cry his heart out from all the pain, but this was just the start before he could make a sound. Zhuo Fan grabbed his skull and slapped him a dozen or so times. The sharp sounds echoed on the street as Yin Fu's teeth were flung with each slap. His eyes were wet but had no energy to even cry. The immense pain stabbed into his heart, and all he could do was whimper. Xiao Dandan and the Dong siblings who came out of the tavern stared in shock. Xiao Dandan even covered her mouth, unable to believe what she saw in reality. Yin Fu's injuries were superficial, hardly enough to kill him, while Zhuo Fan had poison coursing through him and his life was seeping fast out of his body. It wouldn't be long before he'd succumb to it and die. However, from the two's interaction, it looked more like Zhuo Fan was the winner and was dealing heavy killing blows, while Yin Fu was akin to a loser kowtowing for forgiveness. This can't be. Xiao Dandan watched with mixed feelings as Zhuo Fan was nearing ever closer to death, yet stronger than ever. He was clearly dying, yet in his final moments, he was the strongest in the world. She never saw a man like this. Not once. Her heart was suddenly seized by regret, actually hoping Zhuo Fan would live on. Yet she was clear that once poisoned by Peking Hall, no one could survive, the rest of the 7 houses included. This was the terror instilled by the Peking Hall. Hee. Didn't you say your Peking Hall's martial arts are perfect? Didn't you want to kill me? Humph, we will both go down today, and all that's left is to see who is going to have a quicker death. Zhuo Fan yanked Yin Fu by the hair, his body trembling from the poison reaching his organs. He didn't have much time, yet his smile was as crazed as before, slamming Yin Fu into the ground. Even if Yin Fu survived this ordeal, it would leave him with permanent scarring. Stop! A gale knocked Zhuo Fan flying as a green-robed elderly drifted to Yin Fu. He gave him a pill, checked his wounds, then sighed his poisonous eyes, then snapped to Zhuo Fan, glinting with murderous intent. 1,000 meters out, on a tall building, stood two figures. One was middle-aged with a split mustache, the other was a red-haired elderly. The two watched Chuafan with a sigh. They say that some are so stubborn they can't see they're going to die. This kid's desperate and suicidal act is Pill King Hall's bane. If the rest of the houses did the same, would vicious Pill King dare run rampant again? Fifth elder laughed in lament. This kid's character is something I like. Nodding, Lin Zetian said, I know now why Tianyu lost. It would have been a miracle if he won when meeting such a lunatic, one that is so strong too. When meeting an unbeatable opponent, one must not make an enemy out of him or the result would be devastating. Most people's first thought is to run to save their lives, and by the time they react, it would be too late. This is why Pill King Hall is still held in fear. Fifth elder nodded and flew away, leaving his words behind. It's a pity. With this man's strong body, under my guidance, his future would have been bright. With Pill King Hall's poison in him, it is ruined. Fifth elder, Lin Zetian shouted from behind. Is he not Chuafan? Startled, fifth elder turned to look at him and shook his head. Chuafan is as treacherous as a fox, cunning as a wolf, dangerous as a snake, and savage like a tiger. Not only does this kid not look like him, he is all brawn and no brain. Even if they both do not fear death, they are totally different. Lin Zetian, listen well. Chuafan is 100 times more dreadful. His eyes shivering, fifth elder vanished. Lin Zetian was left with a hard expression. Hell Valley's fifth elder was the pillar of Hell Valley, the strongest. His words must be real if even he was afraid of the kid. Chapter 102, Bodhi Jade Sap. Chapter 102, Bodhi Jade Sap. Big Brother Song. Dong Xiaowan cried out as she witnessed Chuafan collapsing. She wanted to go to him, but Dong Tianba pulled her hand. Dong Tianba was watching the elder in green with a serious face. Chuafan reduced Yin Fu to such a state, and helping him would only incur the elder's wrath. It may not be righteous, but as long as you'd escape an encounter with the 7 houses alive, everything else was just details. Hey, wench, take care of my disciple. Vicious Pill King turned to Xiao Dandan, his eyes flashing green. She shivered from fear as she pointed at herself. Why you mean me? Cut the crap. My disciple ended up like this for your sake. Who else should be looking after him if not you? Yen Song spoke in an irreproachable manner. Xiao Dandan was forced to obey despite her wishes. Yin Fu's mangled body stirred endless disgust in her. Who told him to stick his head out for me? Not me. He dragged me here to mess with Song Yu, and now that he got hurt, I have to look after him? Picking up on her loathing, Yin Song spoke in a threatening tone. Wench, my disciple got hurt for your sake, and you're just going to ignore him? Shivering, Xiao Dandan shook her head again and again. No, I wouldn't dare. Humph, you'd better. My disciple took a liking to you, so you better not let him down, or I will make you beg for the sweet release of death. Snorting, Yin Song left his precious disciple in Xiao Dandan's care, then walked to Chuafan. The latter was on the ground, seemingly having stopped breathing, but his mind was hard at work paying attention to all that was happening also. He wasn't as poisoned as he had led on. He just cancelled out Yin Fu's 3 poisons with the use of demon transformation art and put on this act to dupe the crowd, feeling Yin Song's naked killing intent with every step. Chuafan's fist tightened. I'm already poisoned to death, and a senior like you still wants to finish the job? If push came to shove, his only choice was to expose his real identity despite having a 5th-grade demonic treasure body. An all-out strike from a profound heaven expert would leave him with a heavy wound. At the very least, his inner organs would be damaged. Chuafan was ready to react at a moment's notice and strike down the insufferable vicious Pill King. Suddenly, lighting crackled along his thunder ring, left him startled. That guy can't be here, right? Yet familiar laughter echoed as a person flashed 100 meters from Chuafan. Ha ha ha. And here I thought the magnificent and grand vicious Pill King was amazing, while instead, he delights in picking on the weak. It was none other than Sword Marquis Abode Xie Tianyang, the one who went through life and death alongside Chuafan. Next to him was the same elder from before, 8th Elder Jin Suifeng. Well damn, you picked the perfect timing to show up. Chuafan was in glee, sneaking the thunder ring into another storage ring while no one was looking. The crackling of lighting vanished, but Xie Tianyang didn't care. As he continued to stare at Yin Song with arrogance, "Twerp, did you come to butt into my affairs?" Yin Song snapped his eyes to him, exploding in killing intent. Jin Suifeng rested his hand on Xie Tianyang's shoulder. "Tianyang, this doesn't concern us. 8th Elder, Drifting Flowers City isn't Pilking Hall's turf. Why should we be scared of him?" Xie Tianyang grinned. Sticking out his chin, Jin Suifeng shook his head. Ever since the Battle of Blue Expanse City between Yugiki and Zhuofan, Xie Tianyang had become a busybody. He just couldn't stand by and watch injustice playing before him. This quirk wasn't that bad, but it didn't do any good either. The Elder didn't stop him in normal cases. But right now, he had gone too far. To dare to butt in the 7 houses' affairs, this had left the Sword Marquis Abode's elders in a panic. He could not fathom the consequences. That Zhuofan was all by his lonesome self, messing with whoever that crossed him as he wished. But Tianyang represented Sword Marquis Abode. Just what did the elders teach him? Furthermore, did he have to go against the vicious Pill King out of all of them? Jin Suifeng gave a wistful smile as he apologized in Xie Tianyang's stead. "Ha ha ha, Elder Yin Song. I am Sword Marquis Abode's 8th Elder, Jin Suifeng. Please don't mind the words of an ignorant youth. No wonder he dares act so presumptuous. He's from Sword Marquis Abode." Yin Song's eyes drifted over the two, then shook his head at the breathless Zhuofan. "Whatever. I'll let Sword Marquis Abode have this one and won't punish this punk myself. He inhaled my disciple's poison anyway and won't have long to live." Yin Song emphasized the word disciple, pointing out the fact his disciple was the one that would kill this kid. It was a message to them. "It has nothing to do with me. I'm not picking on the weak, so don't you freakin' start spreading false rumors and ruining my name. Sword Marquis Abode." Jin Suifeng was clear on his hidden meaning and nodded. "Ha ha ha, Elder Yin Song has a fine disciple. How could any common person be his match? This kid dared to mess with him, so death is what he deserves." Yin Fu nodded in satisfaction. "At least you're tactful." He then flashed before Xiao Dandan and took her and his disciple away. His disciple won, but it was a wretched win if he lingered any more. The Sword Marquis Abode might figure out his disciple killed his opponent with poison while getting beaten like a punching bag. He'd have no face left then. There weren't many who knew this, to begin with, only Drifting Flowers Tower, Merry Woods, and Hell Valley. But the fewer that did, the better. This was all to avoid making a disgrace of himself. When the old man left, Jin Suifeng took a deep breath. Though Jin Suifeng, who was filled with hatred, gnashed his teeth while looking at Zhuofan slowly dying. Bastard. He flaunts his power at every chance and disgraces all the 7 houses. All right already. Do you think you're that monster, Zhuofan? That you can do anything you want? After cuffing Xie Tianyang over the head, Jin Suifeng shook his head. "Tianyang, do you have any idea how dangerous that was? Unlike Yugiki, who likes to play games and scheme instead of acting on impulses, vicious Pill King would strike at anything that earns his displeasure with impunity, even against the other houses. No one can do anything to stop him." Xie Tianyang bit his lip and sighed powerlessly. "You must be the Sword Marquis Abode's young master." Xie Tianyang turned to see Dong Xiaowan kneeling at his feet. "Brother Song Yu has been poisoned by Pill King Hall. Please save him." Xie Tianyang eyes Zhuofan, then Jin Suifeng. "8th Elder, can we save him?" "Huh. You think there's anyone in this world that can cure Pill King Hall's poison? If there was, it wouldn't have grown into such a fearful figure." Jin Suifeng shook his head. "Tianyang, don't mess with other people's problems." Xie Tianyang watched Dong Xiaowan hopeless. "Forgive me, miss, I cannot help him." And left with Jin Suifeng, Dong Xiaowan cried as she turned to her brother. Dong Tianba sighed. "At the end of it all, dear little brother Song met his doom because of us. We will return his body to Nitrain City and bury him there. The Song clan will be then declared our kin." Dong Xiaowan sniffed and nodded. "Wait." A sudden voice stopped them. Chu appeared. "He's been poisoned by Rainbow Cloud Palm. If you touch him, you will also suffer." "What?" The two backed off a few steps. Dong Xiaowan watched Chu mournful. "What can we do? We can't just leave Big Brother Song's body here." "Leave him to me. I will heal him." Chu bound Zhuofan in a ribbon and vanished. Leaving the Dong siblings in shock, the Sword Marquis's abode of the 7 noble houses couldn't do anything. Yet, a hick woman could. The two couldn't make heads or tails of it. But Zhuo Fan was the most in shock. He observed the 3 poisons in his body combining and ever-changing, amplifying its toxicity. Was there any other method that could remove it besides the demon transformation art? Maybe. His guess got him in high spirits. 15 minutes later, in the slums, Chu-Chu laid Zhuo Fan on the earthen bed, and her hand flashed with a bottle the instant she uncorked it. The scent wafted everywhere in the room. Zhuo Fan was startled, yet despite his eyes being close, they still trembled. This was what he was after from the start, the heavenly treasure. Bodhi Jade sap. A green drop landed on Zhuo Fan's lip, sliding in his mouth. In that instant, Zhuo Fan felt a boundless vitality soaring ever higher in his body, wrapping every inch of his body. He was so happy, but the sorrow in his heart dwarfed its sister. It would have been better if you dripped it on my egg. Chapter 103. Incredible. Chapter 103. Incredible. A green light spread throughout his body, into every damaged fiber left behind by the poison. In 6 hours, his face no longer looked ill. Zhuo Fan felt the medicine did its job and faked a faint breath, as though he had just recovered. He was muttering all the while to make his weakened state believable. Chu-Chu nodded slightly and helped Zhuo Fan to sit on the heated bed. She took a seat behind him, releasing a silver glow from her hands as she rested them on his back, shivering from the sharp cold. Zhuo Fan sensed a frigidine seeping into his body and flowing through his meridians to clear any leftover poison. His body had little poison to begin with, and the poisoning he showed on the surface was already cleared up thanks to the Bodhi Jade sap. If this process continued, the cat would be out of the bag. No one would fear Pilking Hall if their poison was so easily removed. Furthermore, with how knowledgeable Chu-Chu seemed regarding Pilking Hall's poison, if a drop of Bodhi Jade sap was enough to cure him, she wouldn't have followed through with the healing. Zhuo Fan was frowning at this point. No, I cannot let that happen. I can't have her realize the truth, or I'll be exposed. So Zhuo Fan used the demon transformation art to remove the yin energy. Chu-Chu was startled, thinking the poison countered her efforts, so she added more strength. Zhuo Fan tweaked his cultivation method to match her rate of pushing yuan qi into his body until, at some point, Chu-Chu sensed her yuan qi moved uninhibited through his body. However, a light scowl adorned her face. I cannot believe the Pilking Hall's poison has reached such heights. The poison from a mere youth made me expend so much energy to dispel it. Zhuo Fan secretly laughed, creaking his eyelids open and putting on the weak and sick act. Where am I? Zhuo Fan turned his head around, puzzled, but he cried in joy at the sight of Chu-Chu. Sister Chu-Chu, you're finally back. I thought you're angry with me and would never talk to me again. Chu-Chu was slightly moved. It was unimaginable for this boy to be so happy about seeing her. Instead of being relieved he was still alive. This was clear proof he placed her far higher in his heart than his own well-being. Feeling warm inside, Chu-Chu raised an eyebrow as she smiled. Of course I'm angry. You, a body cultivator, trashed Yin Fu to such a state, and you still dare fake weakness before me? Speak. What is your aim? I don't have one. Just that when I saw you for the first time, you showed such a fierce attitude towards me. But I know you are a good person, taking me in despite your troubles. That is why I want to get close to you, understand you, and become your friend. Chu-Chu gave him a long look and a smile slipped on her face. Humph. Yeah, right. Who'd believe you? I saw your fight with Yin Fu. You were so vicious in your attacks, using filthy language too. It was the opposite of what a refined young master would do when looking for consolation. Zhuo Fan darted his eyes left and right as he sighed in his heart. Chu-Chu is wise to figure out a man's true nature after just one battle. What she said is true. Why would a ruthless demonic cultivator act all kind if not for his self-interest in growing stronger? He always felt that only the weak would rely on factions, while the strong stood alone. It was the same for spiritual beasts. Packs existed only of low-level spiritual beasts, while 5th and 6th level beasts were solitary because once you had strength, you did not need one to look for shelter. But how was he supposed to answer Chu-Chu? Mulling in his heart for a while, Zhuo Fan noticed Chu-Chu's stare on him. It was then an inspiration struck, and he secretly smiled. Brother Dong, thanks again for your girl-chasing skills. Ha ha, Sister Choo-Choo. You really want me to say it? With silly laughter, Fan scratched his head. Shyly, Choo-Choo's heart was growing in suspicion. Her eyes became piercing. Tell me, is your aim in getting close to me something unspeakable? It's not that important, just that I like you. Fan scratched his nose, blushing. Sister Choo-Choo, you're right. I'm not that forward when making friends with anyone except beauties. Fan's bottomless eyes stared at Choo-Choo with emotion. She was so stunned that a rosy tint spread on her cheeks. Why, you don't even know how I look. So why do you know I'm beautiful? Choo-Choo was starting to feel nervous as she stammered. Fan secretly relaxed. The initiative is back in my field. Thanks, Brother Dong. Thank you for your skirt-chasing experience. Fan was happy inside, but his face was giddy. Sister Choo-Choo, I already told you. Your eyes are mesmerizing. The moment I laid eyes on them, I knew you were beautiful. Sophistry. Eyes have nothing to do with how one looks. Choo-Choo turned her head. Afraid of meeting Fan's gaze, Fan let out a short laugh and pressed his advantage. Who said that? Mother said, the prettier the eyes, the beautiful the woman. Your mother is speaking nonsense. Really? Then let's see. Fan reached for Choo-Choo's cloth covering her face. She was startled for a moment before fleeing scared. Don't. I am hideous. I don't want to scare you. If you try that again, I will be angry. Choo-Choo turned into the scared rabbit hunted by the fierce tiger, running to a corner in the room and blushing in panic. As for her threat, it held no power. In fact, it was more dignified than her usual cold and unfeeling manner. Fan was stunned. Sister, I won't hit you. What are you so afraid of? Choo-Choo seemed to have recovered her usual self after hearing him speak. She shook her head. Don't joke around like this again. Regardless of your reason for getting close to me, I will soon leave this place. It's likely that we will never meet each other again. What? Leave? Fan was alarmed. He finally found this Bodhi Jade sap, and now she wanted to leave? Where do I go looking for heavenly medicine then? Where? Fan blurted. I won't tell you even if you ask. Choo-Choo turned and left. This will be the last time we see each other. Her steps were growing ever fainter. Fan's eyes now flashed with a trace of resolution. He would have to fight for the Bodhi Jade sap if he still wanted it. But the opponent was a profound heaven expert. A noisy fight might break out and more experts would come. At that point, his fate was sealed. Killing intent flashed in his eyes and feigned reluctance in his voice. Sister Choo-Choo, don't leave. I don't want to be away from you, Fan pretended to be weak as he got up, only to collapse forward. Even flung from 100-meter-tall cliff wouldn't put a dent in him with his bone-tempering cultivation in normal cases. But women were women. Choo-Choo's heart turned soft and was by his side to support him. But Fan let out an evil smirk as he clawed at Choo-Choo. He'd force her to hand over the Bodhi Jade sap. If not, he was going to pry it from her cold, dead body. Fan wasn't kind, striking down even his so-called friends if it came to it, since she was a profound heaven expert. She slanted her head the moment she heard the sound from the swift attack and avoided Fan's move. The claw passed by her neck, taking with it the cloth over her face and exposing a delicate and smooth skin. Since the first attack didn't work, he wanted to continue, but Choo-Choo's expression left him dumbfounded. Incredible. That was the only thought in his mind. Choo-Choo's features made her the most perfect, most outstanding beauty he had ever seen. This was even if he were to include his past life. So much so, he couldn't even conceive the thought such a being existed. She is indeed a fairy. Fan forgot even his objective. Choo-Choo was also lost, not having detected Fan's killing intent. His slack-jawed expression made her blush as tears pooled in her pure eyes. Bam! A crisp slap made intimate contact with Fan's face, throwing him into the wall. She picked up the rough cloth on the ground and covered her face before leaving with the clear teardrops still stained on the floor. What's going on? Fan rubbed his inflamed cheek, finding it impossible to forget her visage. Who knew the world could birth such beauty? I thought what I used before was flattery, but it turned out to be true. Pretty eyes are always on pretty women, and she is the most amazing in the world. Zhua Fan sighed with palpitation and sorrow suddenly. Something occurred to him and rushed outside. But there was no sign of Chu-Chu or any trace of her Yuan-Chi sister. At least leave the Bodhi Jade sap behind. Zhua Fan was crying inside. Now I'm back to square one. Blast it all to hell. What was I doing gawking instead of attacking? Am I a lecher that can't move when he sees a beautiful woman? Zhua Fan cursed himself as he sighed again and again. Chapter 104, Second Layer of Bone Tempering Stage. Chapter 104, Second Layer of Bone Tempering Stage. 3 days later, the Dong siblings were asking around as they made their way through the slums. Bro Song, where are you? Dong Tianba took his sister to a rundown house where he noticed Zhua Fan's figure through a hole in the roof. He was sitting on the bed with his eyes closed in meditation. Bro, I finally found you. It's good that you're all right. Dong Tianba ran to him but bumped into an invisible wall and was flung into the dirt, opening his eyes. Zhua Fan exhaled as he stood up with all the effort he put into cultivating these past few days. He reached the second layer of bone tempering stage. He had Yin Fu's 3 poisons to thank for. That poison was also a tonic. Zhua Fan refined them and also absorbed Chu-Chu's in Yuan Qi, resulting in a 1-month early breakthrough. This advancement strengthened his body and speed by 10%. Now, the average profound heaven experts were nothing, and he could even clash with those body cultivators in the profound heaven stage. With a wave of his hand, he released the defensive array and walked out with a smile. Bro, a second-rate clan such as you coming to visit my humble home truly brings light into this wretched house. Please, stop pretending. Dong Tianba patted the dust from his clothes. What's with this house? Why couldn't I enter and felt like I got slapped instead? Ha, you think anyone can just waltz in? Zhua Fan laughed. These 3 days, I was cultivating in seclusion and set up a defensive array so no one would bother me. What? You know freaking arrays. Dong Tianba jumped, his 2 eyes staring at Zhua Fan in shock. Bro, if I haven't indulged in vices with you for so long, I'd think you're a different person. We haven't seen each other for a few years, and not only has your strength soared, but you're also knowledgeable in arrays as well as having refining skills? Dong Xiaowan stared with her pretty eyes at Zhua Fan in worship, laughing out loud. Zhua Fan hurried to explain. Brother Dong, don't tease me. I used to be so frivolous in my youth, but young Miss Dong and your grandfather woke me up. Let bygones be bygones. Big brother's song at all my fault? Dong Xiaowan's rebuking glance seemed to be sending a message. Though, in fact, it was filled with love. Dong Tianba smacked his lips. Little brother's glorious success leaves me ashamed. I'll work hard and one day reach new heights just like you. Ha ha ha. Cultivation is based firstly on talent, second on luck, and third on diligence. If anyone could have become strong after just hard work, the world would have been filled with experts. Zhua Fan gave a bitter laugh. Dong Tianba's talent will only allow him to reach profound heaven stage at best. Without a lucky break, he would never advance beyond that, but Zhua Fan didn't want to curb his enthusiasm. Oh, brother Song, where's Lady Chu-Chu? Dong Tianba looked around. She said she'll save you, and had actually done it. She is such a strange person. Why is it that I don't see her around? It's a long story, Zhua Fan sighed. Having recalled the Bodhi Jade sap and was filled with lament, I had the perfect chance and blew it, but regretting it now is pointless. If the heavens would grace me with another chance, I will definitely strike when I need to. Zhua Fan was filled with resolve while Dong Tianba misunderstood. She left? Zhua Fan nodded with a side. Bro, you have become so infatuated. Dong Tianba patted his shoulder. It's all right. Lovers will one day reunite. Just make sure to not let her go next time. Zhua Fan didn't get the chance to explain as Dong Xiaowan glared at her brother. Dong Tianba noticed it and changed his tone. That lady Chu-Chu must have left because she has another lover. Forget about her. The world is teeming with flowers, so you don't need to stop at the first one you find. Perhaps the one before you might be even better. Dong Xiaowan was bashful. Zhua Fan watched the siblings act while blinking dumbstruck. Do I look like a man intoxicated by emotions? My only regret is missing my chance to get the Bodhi Jade sap. Though Zhua Fan didn't clear the misunderstanding, he continued to speak. Brother Dong, did you come here to make sure I am still alive and kicking, or is there something else? Dong Tianba recalled the reason for his visit and face-bombed. Brother Song, thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot. I came to make sure you're all right and, for the safety of both our clans, to take you somewhere. Dong Tianba then pulled Zhuofan. Zhuofan was baffled, but followed after noticing how serious he was. Since he lost all trails on Bodhi Jade sap, it was better to go with Dong Tianba and ask around. The trio arrived before a tall building. The plaque on it left Zhuofan secretly giving a chuckle. Meanwhile, he had a vulgar grin on his face. Brother Dong, you just said you're going to work hard, but how come you brought me to this place? What place? Dong Tianba was clueless with a wretched smile. Zhuofan pointed at the plaque. Brother Dong, don't play the fool. You're much more cultured than me. Look, it says bro dash. MPH. Dong Tianba clamped his mouth shut as he cursed. Quiet. This is Drifting Flowers City, a place ruled by women. You think there are such places here? Then, Zhuofan blinked at the plaque. Dong Tianba looked where he was pointing and almost cried, Brother, please look closer. It's the Iris Edifice. After a long look, Zhuofan noticed right then when the wind blew the red silk away and revealed the whole plaque. Smiley face. Play on words. The first character for brothel is the same for Iris. This was the Iris Edifice, the top of the 15 buildings under Drifting Flowers Edifice. And the Iris Overseer, too, was none other than Qin Kaiqing. Ha ha ha, so it's the Iris Edifice. I thought such a place was uncultured and didn't bother remembering the matron's name and called it brothel. You're still saying it? Dong Tianba glared at him and sighed in relief. Once he found no one paid attention to them, uttering the word brothel in Drifting Flowers Edifice's domain was suicide. Dong Xiaowan pouted. Humph, all men are the same. Let me warn you, both of you are forbidden from going into such places again. Zhuofan laughed dryly. If you want to bother someone, nag at your brother. Why are you lumping me together with him? We're not related and I am a free spirit. Brother Dong, why did you drag me here? Zhuofan ignored Dong Xiaowan. The frown further emphasized the seriousness on Dong Tianba's face. Brother, I have thought long and hard these past days and realized our misfortune came from offending Peony Edifice's Xiao Dandan. Among the 15 overseers, Iris Overseer is the most amiable and the easiest to speak with. I want to ask her to help dissuade this grudge. If not, even if we shave our heads and hide in a monastery, we'll meet our end sooner or later. Zhuofan snorted but secretly nodded. If that Iris Overseer had any intention of helping us, Xiao Dandan would have been kept on a tight leash. She did all this in an attempt to expose my identity. This was fine anyway, since Zhuofan wanted to know the Iris Overseer in person to figure out how deep her suspicion went, and whether or not his battle with Yin Fu worked to consolidate these guesses. Zhuofan nodded. Bro, you're so thorough. The Iris Overseer is definitely a place the two of us must pay a visit. Since bro agrees, then let's go. Dong Tianba laughed and produced a red invitation to the two Qi condensation young ladies standing guard. Dong Tianba bowed 90 degrees as he offered it. Please announce that Dong Tianba and Dong Xiaowan, along with the Song clan's Song, you have come to visit Iris Overseer. Humph, you think it's that easy for second and third-rate clans to waltz in? The girl snorted. Dong Tianba was beet red in anger, but his bow didn't flinch under the contemptuous stare of the girl. Dong Xiaowan chewed her lip and sighed. She felt sorry for her brother, but there was no other way. This was the reception all clans outside the 7 houses got. Zhuofan wasn't known for his patience. Entering while Dong Xiaowan was distracted. Ladies, do you know Xiao Dandan? One of them looked at Zhuofan. She is our senior sister. What? You know her? She's from Peony Edifice while this is Iris Edifice. We won't announce your arrival even for her sake. Ha ha, that's not my intention at all. But have you heard? She was stripped naked by a man in the middle of the street, leaving her in nothing but her underwear. The two's eyelids twitched as they nodded. That man was none other than me. Zhuofan let out a wicked smile. Do you believe me when I say that if you do not announce our arrival, I will peel your clothes off in broad daylight? The two recoiled. How dare you? This is Iris Edifice. Is there a difference? Zhuofan stared them right in the eye. His killing intent spiked and a soul ripple swept the two. The ladies shivered. Fear had gripped their hearts. Wait here. I will go make the announcement. Unable to withstand his cold gaze, one lady ran inside. leaving the other shivering. Dong Tianba sighed. Ever since he met Song Yu again, Dong Tianba felt he was a different person, not only in strength but also in character. Not putting even the 7 houses in his eyes, this was why he brought his sister along, to keep an eye out on this brother of his. But not only did she overlook his actions, the latter was now looking for trouble. "We came here to look for asylum, and you've come asking for help with that attitude? It'd be lucky if they don't slaughter your entire clan." Not only was Zhuo Fan indifferent, but he also had a proud look plastered on his face. "Bro, towards these small-time snobs, fear is the best solution." Hee hee. "Bro?" Yu Dong Tianba sighed. He could only hope Iris Floorkeeper was open-minded enough to overlook this. Chapter 105, Bodhi Root. Chapter 105, Bodhi Root. The Dong siblings waited nervously while Zhuo Fan looked calmer than ever. The lady soon returned and spoke in a frightened tone. "The overseer shall see you." "Oh, great. Thank you." Dong Tianba bowed, then rushed inside, dragging his sister. Zhuo Fan swaggered in the slowest and most languid way, smirking at the ladies and giving them the middle finger. As he passed, the ladies stepped back in fright, and only gained some semblance of reassurance when he was gone. "Hey, did you also report how vulgar that punk is?" the other lady asked. The first one was sullen. "Sister, I did." Repeatedly. "Then why is the overseer letting them in? She should have sent someone to put him in his place." The other lady was on the verge of crying. "Sister, don't say it. It's useless. Do you know what the overseer said when I mentioned his obscene behavior?" "What?" "For words. Don't provoke the lunatic." "What?" The other lady was scared now, her eyes wide as saucers. She didn't know Zhuo Fan's identity, but their overseer actually went as far as to recommend not offending him. Is he from the 7 houses? That can't be. The invitation clearly states Dong and Song clans. The Dong clan is a second-rate clan, and the Song a third-rate clan. It doesn't make sense to let him go unrestrained. This was the thinking of people who had yet to witness the sheer brutality and savagery of the infamous Zhuo Fan. A madman wasn't scary, but a pig-headed madman was. Zhuo Fan dolled up as Song Yu when he came to Drifting Flower City, but his demeanor was as frivolous and whimsical as ever. In any case, the trouble would fall on the Song clan. So, he was free to be brasher than ever with this incentive. He plunged the Mary Woods disciple into a world of hurt, spicing up the show by humiliating the Peony Edifice's disciple, and then trashing of Pill King Hall's disciple as the curtains fell. He showed no leniency to any of them, despite them hailing from the 7 houses. Yet, with all the trouble piling up on his head, he wasn't in the least bit interested regarding the danger he was bringing the Song clan. Even Iris Overseer was not willing to mess with such a lunatic, who had no mind of the repercussions. It was fine if he didn't care about his life, but others close to him. This was a fact made obvious when he clobbered Yin Fu. Qing Kaiqing thus warned the disciple to avoid something she would clearly regret. The two, though, were unaware of the whole story, so they thought Zhuo Fan was someone of immense power with a deep background that affected even their overseer. Zhuo Fan had long foreseen such a possibility. The one truly frightening people were those stubborn and hard-headed people that were willing to forsake even their lives in the eyes of those who watched his battle with Yin Fu. He was a man who had died once, and this only worked to boost his egotistical behavior instead of putting a damp on it, further removing many troubles. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong, along with self-preservation, was a law adhered by all, be it strong or weak. Even the 7 houses had to think twice when messing with this stubborn mule, even if they thought he was beneath them. With a dastardly grin on his face, Zhuo Fan cackled in his heart. He was met with no obstruction as he walked with the pair of siblings to Iris Overseer's receiving room. She was already sitting there and watched in awe Zhuo Fan strutting in. "Please, sit." "I wouldn't dare." Dong Tianba dragged his sister into a bow while Zhuo Fan slumped into a chair. "Much obliged." Dong Tianba was scared witless, on the verge of crying. "Blast it all to hell. You're in someone else's house. If you piss her off, it won't be just the Song clan that gets buried. I pleaded with you all this time to behave. If I knew you this impudent, I would have never had brought you." Dong Tianba lamented in his mind as he rushed to make amends. "Please ignore him, Floorkeeper. My brother is rash and uncivilized. Please don't blame him." Ha ha ha, young Master Song is true to himself. Why would I ever blame him? Also, you two can dispense the courtesy and sit. Qin Kaiqing said with a smile. Dong Tianba wiped his forehead and pulled his sister into a seat, while not forgetting to send Zhuofan a glare. Zhuofan ignored it, of course, since he didn't even see it. Dong Tianba sighed. His feature tenses as if at a funeral. Qin Kaiqing giggled, her eyes drifting over them. Young Master Dong, this isn't the underworld. Relax. Try to be like young Master Song. Dong Tianba right then noticed Zhuofan taking a bite out of a random fruit he picked off the table. Dong Tianba's eyelids were twitching. He's too comfortable. This isn't your home, you know? But he only kept it to himself when he saw Qin Kaiqing's calm state. They said Iris Overseer was an amiable person, but he didn't think it was to this extent. She's so friendly that it should be easy to handle our problem. Dong Tianba bowed once again and spoke in a grave tone. Overseer, the three of us have come with a request. Do speak. Qin Kaiqing smiled. Overseer, a few days ago we offended Miss Xiao Dandan, and this had us in a fright these past 2 days. This might be presumptuous of me, but I want to ask the Overseer to mediate, to remove this grudge between us. The Song and Dong clans will forever be in your gratitude. I understand this matter, and Dandan was the one going overboard. I will be sure to straighten her. Qin Kaiqing nodded, then smiled at Zhuofan. However, I can't help but feel intrigued about something. They say young Master Song was hit by Pilking Hall's Yin Fu's rainbow cloud palm because of Dandan. How is he back on his feet after only a few days? Pilking Hall's poison isn't so easily removed. Dong Tianba froze but for a moment, then glanced at Zhuofan. Chu was Zhuofan's friend, and it was up to him if he wanted to reveal her involvement. If he made a careless comment and invited disaster later, his dear little brother would blame him for the rest of his life. Zhuofan nodded satisfied. Dong Tianba was a black sheep of the family, but he had a redeeming feature, his loyal heart. As for Chu, Zhuofan was also thinking of asking around for her. Qin Kaiqing was an overseer and ought to know of the profound heaven expert Chu's Bodhi Jade sap. He was brief and blunt. I met a woman covering her face who dispelled the poison swiftly. A woman covering her face? Qin Kaiqing was caught by surprise. Yes. I met her in the slums, a woman that calls herself Chu. The people there call her the Scourge woman. Zhuofan fixed his eyes on Qin Kaiqing, noticing suspicion in her eyes. It was then that a sudden realization seemed to overcome her, but she quickly hid it. Ha ha ha. Young Master Song is fortunate to have such an encounter. Your future will be boundless. Zhuofan squinted. I can only hope. From the two's casual talk, Chu wasn't such a sore topic. Dong Tianba was scared she had some conflict with Drifting Flowers Edifice that would affect today's talks. His hand flashed and a coral as large as a man appeared. Glowing a faint red, this item was so rare that even Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. It was useless to cultivators, but its value came from its rarity. It was worth more than 100,000 spirit stones. Dong Tianba bowed again. Then please accept this for your troubles, Overseer. I accept your kindness, but take back with you. I will handle Dandan all the same. Qin Kaiqing didn't even glance at the coral. Dong Tianba bowed again in panic. This is but a token of my appreciation. Please take it, or I wouldn't be able to find peace. Bullshit. Riches are given in exchange for favors. If you don't take it, how do I know you'll do it? If you overlook this once we leave, that damn girl will burn our clans to the ground. And you might not even know it. No, you will most likely have forgotten us by then. At least taking my gift ought to remind you of our plight each time you look at it, no? Dong Tianba cursed and sighed. Qin Kaiqing understood him and shook her head as she took the item. Only then did Dong Tianba smile and relieve. Qin Kaiqing clapped tryst, and a disciple brought wine. Guest from afar, you gave me an immense gift. These 3 bottles of 100 Flowers wine is our Drifting Flowers Edifice's specialty that helps in one's cultivation. Please accept my gift. We can't possibly refuse Floorkeeper's generous hospitality. Dong Tianba laughed as he poured himself a cup. Zhuofan and Dong Xiaowan toasted and drank. What great wine. Dong Tianba praised but plopped on the table, unconscious the next second. The same went for Dong Xiaowan, while Zhuofan was the only one sober. Raising an eyebrow, he smiled. Overseer, is there something you want to say to me? Qin Kaiqing gave him a praising look and nodded. You're smart. I need you to do something for me. Do it well, and the two of you can leave the Drifting Flower City in safety. Fail, and your clans will shortly follow you into the grave. Is that a threat? Zhuofan perked the corner of his mouth into a wicked grin. Qin Kaiqing shook her head. No. A fact. I know you're a brash and fearless man, but didn't you come here to settle the matter with Dandan? If you don't do this for me, I won't help you either. And with that last temper, your two clans will have no future. Zhuofan squinted. Let's hear it. And if I can't do it, I'm guessing you're going to destroy us anyway. Zhuofan's carefree tone seemed to say he didn't care. But Qin Kaiqing found this extremely odd. Who in this world didn't care about their clan's fate? Madman. A true lunatic. This man can't be controlled. Qin Kaiqing secretly sighed while her face remained impassive. I'm not asking the impossible. I only want you to steal something from me. What? Zhuofan yawned. Our edifice lord's treasure, the Bodhi root. Come again? The Bodhi root. Qin Kaiqing iterated, his eyes wide. Zhuofan's heart was an exultation. Bodhi root gathered earth essence and turned it into life essence in the form of Bodhi Jade sap. Who'd have seen this coming? He just lost his trail on the Bodhi Jade sap, and now he has clues about a Bodhi root. Bloody hell. This is providence. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan cackled inside, his eyes glinting with interest. Chapter 106, Scouting Drifting Flowers Edifice. Chapter 106, Scouting Drifting Flowers Edifice. As an overseer, a valuable member of Drifting Flowers Edifice. Why are you doing this? Despite how thrilled he was, it was best to cover all bases and know the situation in detail. Qin Kaiqing's eyes showed a deep gaze as her tone grew colder. That does not concern you. All you have to do is to get it. But Drifting Flowers Edifice is packed with guards. How am I? Qin Kaiqing cut him off. You need not concern yourself with this. I made preparations. After she spoke, Qin Kaiqing placed a map in his hand. Zhuofan looked at the multitude of colorful lines and symbols blended in an intricate mesh. It is easy to remember. Contains the Drifting Flowers Edifice's terrain along with the patrol routes and when they change shifts. With your skill, as long as you're smart, it won't be hard getting in and out. Squinting, Zhuofan put away the map in deep thought. This was the perfect chance to get his hands on the Bodhi root, but was suspicious that this might be a trap. Qin Kaiqing may have already known his identity and set up an ambush there. If he was against profound heaven experts, not even his wings could save him, though it is highly unlikely for this to happen. If he didn't have the Iris Overseer's help, entering Drifting Flowers Edifice would be difficult. Have you come to a decision? Iris Overseer stared at his face, her heart nervous. Young Master Song. I'm sorry if I have to resort to unbecoming language when I say this, but if you don't do it and leak it instead, I will gouge out your eyes, retch out your tongue, and tear your arms and legs from your body. And what choice does that leave me? Zhuofan snickered. Although, Iris Overseer, I have to admit, that is a bit vicious of you to do. Tearing my limbs from my body, retching my tongue out, and gouging my eyes is worse than dying. Knowing he agreed to her request, the Iris Overseer's heart eased. I am not one who takes killing lightly. But as you've seen the map and still chose not to agree, all those actions are to prevent you from leaking the secret, be it through writing or otherwise. Rolling his eyes, Zhuofan's mouth twitched. Then, why must you take my feet? Is my feet useful in writing? I don't know. With what an oddity young Master Song is, who knows what you're truly capable of? Qin Kaiqing gave a silly smile, hidden behind her veil. Although her features were obscured, her beauty couldn't be hidden. Zhuofan sighed. She is quite the looker, but her heart is so poisonous. This was something he could understand. This world was one where might was right, and men ruled. A woman had to be vicious enough, poisonous enough, to stand tall in this world. With how naive and gullible that pure Xuanning Xiang was, if it weren't for her encounter with the demon, Zhuofan, she would have been Hell Valley's cauldron by now. Zhuofan started to recall the carefree life the three led in the Allbeast mountain range. Those were the best and shortest days of both his lives. Young Master Song, you will go tonight. So soon? Zhuofan stared at Qin Kaiqing. He was impatient of getting Bodhi root, but not that much. Who knew the Iris Overseer was in even more of a rush? Young Master Song, there's something you may not know. Qin Kaiqing sighed. The Bodhi root is something the Edifice Lord protects herself. Only when the month of full moon does she go in seclusion, leaving the Bodhi root in the Treasure Pavilion's care. We are running out of time, as she is soon to come out. Tianyu's #1 beauty, Chu Qingqing? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. What's her cultivation? Her stare was fixed on Zhuo Fan. Until she was certain he didn't show any odd reaction, she responded, despite being doubtful, she is my junior sister, and should be in the 3rd layer of profound heaven stage. That much should be possible to fight off. Zhuo Fan analyzed, then nodded. Then I will go tonight. Qin Kaiqing was overjoyed and released a scent to the Dong siblings to wake them up since they were out for the duration of the talk. Qin Kaiqing explained they fainted after drinking such a potent wine, but that it wouldn't happen again in the future. This concluded the meeting and Qin Kaiqing saw them out. Dong Tianba was more than happy to leave now that his aim was achieved. As they passed by the entrance, the two ladies were still in fear, holding their tongues in check, but once the trio was gone, Zhuo Fan threw a pill into the air. A flash of red flew out of him and swallowed the energy-concealing pill, then went into Iris Edifice. He was curious to know what Iris Overseer's true game was. Blood Infant moved like a specter, entering the drawing room, without anyone's notice. Where Iris Overseer was still sitting, a cough suddenly came and a person appeared behind Qin Kaiqing. Zhuo Fan cried out, "Vicious Pill King Yin Song. Why is he here? Why are you doing this?" Yin Song touched her shoulder and squeezed, making Qin Kaiqing grimace and her face flash green. Qin Kaiqing gnashed her teeth as she broke out in fine sweat. "Elder Yin, I am Iris Overseer. If I don't do this, I can no longer keep my position. Once the fool gets the item, his life would have run its course and no one will know of my involvement." "Humph, you're still thinking of escaping liability even when you execute my plans. If anything goes wrong with the brat and ruins my plan, I will have you answer for it." Yin Song clutched at Qin Kaiqing harder, throwing her on the ground. She could only let him do what he wanted as tears of humiliation streaked her cheeks. Yin Song ridiculed, "Of the 15 overseers, I control more than half. Drifting Flowers Edifice will soon come under Pill King Hall, and the first of 7 houses to be swallowed. Do you think exposing this will help you? As long as I'm here, act like the Iris Overseer you are, not for Drifting Flowers Tower, but for my Pill King Hall. You heard the brat, there's someone in this city that can remove your poison. If your poison is cured, how will you threaten the other overseers?" Yin Song gave her a contemptuous and evil smile. "Were you always waiting for the arrival of such a man that will save Drifting Flowers Edifice from this crisis? Haha, what wishful thinking. My rainbow cloud palm is made up of 7 savage poisons, and no one can remove it. The brat was only lucky to be hit by my disciple's 3 poison palm. If it was mine instead, not even the most renowned alchemist could save his wretched life." Qin Kaiqing bit her lip, a trail of blood flowing down and tears glistened in her eyes from the resentment she carried. Snorting, Yin Song kicked her. "Bitch, get rid of him once he comes back, or you and your sisters will wait in silence for death without me. Ha ha ha. A woman will always be a woman, reliant on a man. You must be delusional for fighting against the world of man." Yin Song laughed as he left. Zhuo Fan surmised she must be feeling hatred, anger, and deep-seated powerlessness. Though it had nothing to do with him, so he willed Blood Infant to return. Now that light has been shown on the matter, he could go all out. He'll get the Bodhi root and skip town. As for the Song and Dong clan, thanks for taking the fall. Zhuo Fan snickered secretly, looking at the Dong siblings without any remorse. They had elders to get them out of any situation. I owe you guys nothing after all. So, be grateful for helping me out. Okay. The Dong siblings reciprocated his warm smile with another of their own. Though appearances could be deceiving, where even a smile hid countless dangers. In the dead of night, silence ruled. The street was empty, but there were some who were moving around a large building. The patrol 3 words were gracefully placed on the building. Drifting Flowers Edifice. Zhuo Fan flashed in the darkness, wearing black clothes from head to toe. He made use of the patrol's changing shifts and snuck inside. Through a series of odd twists and turns, he arrived at a pond. Looking back, Zhua Fan sighed and took the map out with a smile. With Qin Saiching's help, I wouldn't have known of all these arrays. There are freaking 10 of them. I just passed one and still have 9 to go. Zhua Fan sighed and stepped back into the darkness. He was adept in arrays, but it would be very easy to get trapped in them without prior investigation, but knowing the map and the disciples' routes, he had it in the bag. I guess people have this saying, attacks you can avoid day and night, but thieves are hard to counter. When I get back to the Luo clan, I will have to make proper arrangements so that this won't ever happen to me. Zhua Fan had such an easy time with the arrays, he even indulged in flights of fancy. Soon, the 10 arrays were cleared. The objective was almost in sight. Treasure Pavilion, Bodhi Route.